Hello,
Hello, everybody.
welcome back.
We're back,
We
but
are.
sadly, we are missing a person.
Yes, Erica couldn't be here for this recording, but she did catch up with the show. But she really wanted to be here, uh, but she was unable to make the recording. But have no fear, her pick is next month, so we'll announce that at the end of the episode. Yeah, she'll be back for next month. Don't worry, guys.
So, with that, I guess let's just get into it.
So you chose this one, Chantal, so why don't you just go ahead and do your thing?
All right. So, this month's pick for January is Run with the Wind, which is another very underrated sports anime for when did this come out? 2018, which I was kind of shocked that it wasn't highly talked about because this one is just really good.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably on there with like Haikyuu and Kuroko and like all those other ones that are like super iconic that we
Mm-hmm.
all know and love.
Yeah.
And it's short compared to like the other sports
I
anime.
know.
So
Yeah, like it's pretty short. It's not like 3 or 4 seasons long like all the other sports shows, and it's like a good cohesive story. Like it runs linear. Running, but they runs it runs linear to the story. Like the story has a beginning, a middle, and an end. There's no like filler or fluff. It's just the story and then like what happens later and what you can assume is like happens after. So I really liked it, and I liked that it was short.
yeah, it
or
was like 23 episodes
Yeah, or shorter than most sports anime.
for sure. Because you have like Ace of Diamond and Haikyuu is continuing and
Yeah.
Lord. Just to give an example.
Yeah, and then like Kuroko has like 3 seasons and a movie, and then like Yamashita has like 4 seasons.
And I have no idea if that's continuing on
I don't
because
either. Anyway, Run with the Wind. Go ahead.
got off topic for a little bit, but I mean, this is what we usually do.
Because we love sports anime.
Sports anime is good, which is why I am so sad that this one wasn't really talked about. I think maybe like a few people talked about it.
Yeah.
Maybe like there's a few AniTubers out there that if you could Google like Run with the Wind, there's like a few videos out there. But other than that,
Yeah, unless I feel like the only one who still talks about it is like Crispy Nats. Shoutouts to Crispy Nats.
that's actually the reason why I followed him because he was the only one that was talking about Run with the Wind at the time when it was airing.
Hmm.
And at the time he had his podcast and I was just like, yes, like he was thinking he had the same exact thoughts every few weeks that I did and I was just like, this man knows. I'm on board. Subscribed. Yeah, I mean, Run with the Wind, what really got me on board when they announced it, because I do my usual like seasonal what will I be watching, which I kind of stopped doing that for whatever reason. But I picked it up, and the main reason why I even picked it up in the first place seasonally back in 2018 was because everybody that worked on Haikyuu was working on this. So it was same staff, same composer, everything. So I was like, okay, you
It
have my attention.
it filled the hole that Haikyuu left in your heart while it was on that like 4 year hiatus.
Yep. Basically. Which this is like the best way that I can describe Run with the Wind is like Haikyuu's little brother, for sure.
Yeah.
Especially because the characters look a lot similar to certain
Yep.
characters in Haikyuu.
Yep. I guess we'll talk about that later.
And then you have Yuki Hayashi, which is like the magical person that works on the soundtrack for Haikyuu as well for Run with the Wind and My Hero Academia. So if you listen to the OST, there's like a lot of similarities to obviously like My Hero and Haikyuu, which
Ooh.
I'm pretty sure they used Haikyuu
I think so
soundtracks
too.
in this.
I think so too because I remember reading in the comments on Crunchyroll every so often someone be like, "Oh, there was that Haikyuu music," and I'm like, "Oh, okay." So I think they did.
Yeah,
They probably did just borrow some OST
I'm pretty sure they did
soundtrack
as
stuff
someone who
from Haikyuu.
like
Yeah.
yeah, as someone who's violently listens to the Haikyuu
I
soundtracks
mean,
nonstop.
I
I know
mean
the
they
soundtracks pretty well.
they have access to them, so why not use it? If I mean, especially if it's gonna go great with whatever's happening on screen, like why not? Because then that
Hmm.
also connects the two series together, like in another way somehow, which I think
Yeah,
is pretty cool.
but impressions with Run with the Wind for me so far, I still love it. Watching it the second time and knowing everything that was gonna happening, still made me cry like a bitch, especially for Haiji, which we'll get into that later on. But I definitely think Run with the Wind is special in its own way. It captivates you from like beginning to end. There's really no loose ends. And yeah, I mean, each character that you and like me in the series, you just can't help but love and like have some sort of connection to, which again, we'll get into in a little bit and tell you guys why exactly that is. Because these characters, man, they're super relatable, and I love that.
Oh, I guess I could do my first impressions, I guess.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, since I'm all caught up with Haikyuu and everything, and then you told me that like it's very similar, or like it's very like reminiscent of Haikyuu. Like I totally saw like and understood where it was coming from with that, because as like at the very beginning, I was like, okay, the look is the same, the character designs are kind of the same. I mean, fucking Kakeru looks like Kageyama. Like he legit just looks like Kageyama, which like I almost called him Kageyama like a couple times when I was like watching it by myself. I'm like, no, it's not Kageyama, but he looks like him. They could be like twins. We could have another set of twins. But I really liked it a lot. I got really attached to all the characters. Like I really wanted them to all succeed. Like I was scared that like they weren't gonna make it to the big Hakone race. I was like, how are they all gonna make it? Like they're barely like they're all amateurs. Like how are they all gonna make official times? And then they all miraculously did. And it was just like really satisfying. And I was really
It
proud
was.
of everybody. And then at the end, when you get like the 4 years later or whatever, I was like, oh my god, like to see everybody like all grown up and like they're there. And I was kind of sad that they're tearing down the dorm, but I mean it's
It
basically
was a
like
crappy dorm.
it was a crappy dorm. It's basically like a fire hazard.
Just falling apart.
It
I
was
mean, the
like
twins like made a hole.
it was like a death trap, pretty much. But I really enjoyed it. I really liked all the characters. I really liked the drama. I liked seeing everybody kind of come together as a team and support each other and like help out. Because I really wanted to like Kaguru, but I was like, dude, you need to like chill the fuck out. And then when he started like helping out everybody else and like really took it seriously, because like he like realized that Haiji just wanted to like do the race, and like he kind of like learned to like respect him and stuff, then I really was like super into it, and I got like really attached, and I really wanted them to succeed. So I was really happy that they spoilers if you haven't seen it, that they got seated for the next race. Like they're gonna go again. They made it to like to be asked back in the race like the next year or whatever. I was very proud. I mean, it didn't matter to me if they won first or whatever. As long as they got in that top 10, I didn't care. I was super happy and super proud of everybody. Which is what I
Me
really like
too.
about sports anime. Like, when the team succeeds and you're just like you see how hard everybody works, and then like it pays off. Like you just feel so proud, even though they're like animated characters. Like they're I don't know. It's like I love that effect that like specifically sports anime has, because you really want the team to succeed. But anyway, those are my first or general impressions about the show.
Another thing I want to add on to that is I really like the overall message of Run with the Wind,
Yeah.
where like most sports anime, they just do it like, oh, we're doing this because we want to win, blah, blah. Here, the goal really wasn't winning, but more so like it was just about the journey itself
Well, yeah, and
and getting there.
it was just like to like we don't have to win. I just want to run in the race. I just want to get the opportunity to say I ran in the Hakone. Like it doesn't matter if I win. I just want to reach my goal of getting to that race. And if I get to the very top and I win, like that's cool, but yeah, it's more about the journey getting there rather than the actual race itself.
Yeah, especially with Haiji. I feel like he
Mhm.
embodies that so well with everything that he's been through. He just wants to have fun, man, and that's the main reason why he recruited these people
These
just because
misfits.
yeah, just because he knows what it is on the other side to be so obsessed of, wanting to win and having like all this responsibilities and pressure and expectations where now it's like he feels free and it's more enjoyable. And then we also have Kakura relating to that later on where he reassures him in that way, which is
Yeah.
very, very beautiful. But since we're on the topic of Haiji, let's just talk about my boy Haiji because I love him.
I can see why. He's a really good protagonist. He's a good main character. I mean, I know it's really like Kakeru's story technically, but I feel like they both share the identity of like the protagonist,
Yeah, for
because
sure.
sometimes it's more about Kakeru and sometimes it's more about Haiji, and then like eventually it's about the team. I like Haiji, but I mean, you gave your thoughts first since he is your boy.
Oh my gosh, Haiji. What makes him an interesting character at first and what really gravitates you like at the beginning is the way how he tries to trap the members into joining the club. Like he secretly already did it without them really knowing. And I was just like, "Oh my God, what the fuck is happening?" when he did that. And you have one of the characters go, Yuki, which he was like, I'm about to sue you. And he's like, nope, you can't do that because your club application is basically the same form
You
that you filled out
is he?
to live here.
Yeah, is he staying here?
So
So
he's sneaky, and I love that. I think I wrote down what he was studying. I wrote down all the
I
boys what they
think
were
I
studying.
think he said he's studying literature.
Yeah, literature. It's really interesting once you like hear like what they're studying. I think the only
Yeah.
ones that we didn't know was the twins. I don't know why they never mentioned. It's the twins.
I feel like they would be like general studies because they don't know what the fuck they want to do. So they
Probably.
probably just pick general studies and then like switch to an actual major like halfway through their like second year or something probably. Because that's what a
Hmm.
lot of people do is like they'll pick general studies because they're like I don't know what I want to do and then eventually they find out or they like pick something because it's like well I don't want to stay here forever. But yeah, I was surprised Haiji was a literature student. He didn't really seem like the kind of character who would want to study
Hmm.
that. But I mean maybe he likes that kind of stuff on the side. They just never really show that part of him.
For sure.
I was happy
He's
though. Literature students are pretty great. I only
yeah, I knew
say, yeah,
you would love that.
I only say that because my minor was English and American literature, but reading a lot is I like to read, so I'm glad there was more than one character that was a literature student. So
Hmm.
I was very, I was happy about that.
And one thing that actually did not get explained about Haiji, which was like the only like downside to it was his knee injury, which
Yeah, like
spoilers. I mean, it's not really spoilers because it does show in the first episode towards the end, his nasty scar that he has on his knee,
hmm
which again, it intrigues you and you're like, okay, what's your story? What's the story behind that injury? I need to know.
well,
And
yeah, like what exactly happened to it? Like did he break his knee? Did he fracture it? Like, clearly he needed, like, surgery, but, like, what kind of knee surgery was it? They don't really say anything. They just, like, show you x rays. But, like,
yeah,
they don't say, like, what the x rays show. It's just like, oh, he's injured. But it's like, I can't even tell what that x ray is telling me.
which I think somebody on one of my videos told me like what exactly that injury was because I'm assuming whoever commented on whatever video it was,
Like,
they have read
they read the novel.
the novel, yeah, which if you guys didn't know, this is actually based on a novel and it's also had a live action. So there you go. Which I think, let me see if I can pull it up what the injury was.
Yeah, I want to know how he got that big ass scar. It's not like a huge scar. It's a long scar. Like it's a continuous like it almost kind of like loops around his knee. It's like in a rainbow kind of shape a little bit, but it like goes along like the groove of his knee. But it looks pretty like fucked. Like if that was in real life, that'd be a pretty dope scar. Cuz I have like a big scar on my leg too, so like I'm pretty like scars are pretty cool. I mean, it sucks that you have to get them, but I think it'd be a cool looking scar in real life. Because you can even see where, like, the stitches were in the scar, or the staples, I guess. So it's not like a tiny thing. It's like a legit, like. Because I knew this girl one time, she had, like, knee surgery to the point where, like, her leg, her knee didn't bend all the way. It would, like, stop at a specific point because she had, like, I don't know, some, like, bolt in her knee or something. So she couldn't, like, sit like a certain way like on the ground because her knee wouldn't like bend all the way because she had like some gnarly like massive knee surgery or something. Like I was glad he could like still run after that because it seemed like a pretty bad injury.
Especially because like it just kept messing up, like it kept popping in and out of like the episodes and you're like,
hmm
"Oh, it's gonna give out at some point." And that's what made me really nervous watching it. I'm like,
Yeah,
he's probably gonna have to quit out of the race or something and I was
dude,
just like,
especially
"Oh."
like in like the very last part of the race when they're all trying to finish. Well, when he's trying to finish because he's like the anchor, dude. When he's like real close to the finish line and it does that like thing where it shows that like ooh there's pain right there. I was like oh fuck. I was like he better not like fall and not make it to the finish line. but he did. It kind of reminded me of like Kiyoshi in Kuroko, because his knee
Yeah,
is
yeah.
fucked too, and he has to get knee surgery, which is why he's only in the movie for like 5 seconds. But whatever. But like it reminded me of that, where like it's a major super, because like knee surgery is no fucking joke, dude. Like people can die from like certain like knee surgeries and stuff.
Yeah, I mean those are they're just really nasty. Like any surgery like that or injury, it's hard to get back. Which you do see in a flashback that it really did YG, especially like when he has to go through like physical therapy and he's struggling to walk. It's just like
Yeah,
that hurt to see, man. That hurt.
I want to know what it actually like was. On Wikipedia it just says despite recovering from a knee injury. It just says a knee injury. It doesn't even say like what the fuck
Let's
what
see.
the fuck it is. It's just a knee injury. Okay, but like what are the details? Wow, this novel came out in 2006 and they
So
barely like they adapted into an anime in 2018. Like the live action film came out in 2009. Wow, I
it's been a
wonder.
while since.
It's like over 10 years. Jeez, it's like 12 years. I wonder what took it so long to get licensed for an anime. I guess maybe they were just waiting for the perfect opportune moment.
Maybe they were just looking for someone to,
Yeah, or maybe like do the novel justice and like plan out like how they were gonna tell the story in however many
yeah,
episodes.
somebody do it right. I can't find it. Well, it's probably buried in the comments somewhere, but it's a lot. But from what I remember, I'm just gonna go off by memory, you guys, because I for the life of me, I cannot find it buried
If
in
if you guys
everything.
know the answer, if like we get it wrong a little bit, just like let us know in the comments if you know like the actual full detail on Haiji's knee injury.
Yeah, from what I remember by memory, and keep in mind, you guys, it's been like two, like at least 2 to, yeah, about 2 years almost. Probably been like a year, but whatever. It's been a while. Point being, but it had to do something like with his. I think it was like his muscle ripping, right?
Ooh,
Like,
like a tendon or like a ligament or something. Oh my god, dude. Okay, I've torn my ligaments in my ankle. That shit is really hard to recover from. Because that's like, when you tear your ligaments, that's when like it gets purple and stuff. And like, yeah, it's like really hard to come back from an injury like that. But
yeah,
maybe
because the way that the person described it, I was like, oh my God.
maybe it was even more than just the ligaments torn if you had to get like actual surgery with like a scar.
And on top of that, with Haiji being pressured
Yeah,
or feeling the pressure from his dad to continue running to the point where he literally just like ran himself to the bone. I'm pretty sure it was bad. Like I'm pretty sure he like knew the signs and everything, like, oh, maybe I should get this checked out, but
he kind
he
of
just
like he kind of messed it up even more by like continuing when he
yeah,
couldn't. Which I mean, it's understandable. You feel that pressure. It's like, well, what do I do?
for sure. Which is kind of sad. Like once you get into his backstory, like which
Hmm.
you really don't get into it in Run with the Wind until like almost towards the end of it. So you kind of have to like continue guessing and they give you hints and there's always like these shots where they focus on his knee, especially when him and Kakeru have that fight when Kakeru's like basically do almost doing the same thing, like running himself continuously to the point where like you can see like bags under his eyes and everything. Haiji's like, basically like what exactly was the quote that he said? He said something like, "If you're looking for speed, go ride a train, because right here it doesn't really matter. It's like all futile." And that's when it focuses on his knee, and I was just like, "Oh, okay." Um,
Yeah, yeah, I know what movie you're talking about. Yeah, he said something like that, where it's like, I mean, you can do that, but then you're gonna like end up where I am because I made that mistake and like did that to myself. So like you can do
yeah.
that if you want, but
He kind of hints at it, and you can see like he just like the way that his voice sounds too. Like he sounds really sad and like it's full
yeah,
of regret.
like he's kind of telling him to like learn from my mistake. Like don't, it's not worth it.
And I was just like, oh, like, because at that point in time, we don't know. We just have to kind of guess when he's talking about it. I'm just like, oh, this, he sounds like he's talking from experience, which of course Kakeru doesn't listen. But we'll get into Kakeru in a little bit later. But it's moments like that with Haiji that you're just like, oh, like
Yeah.
wise words from Haiji because of his experience. Like, out of everybody he knows what it's like to be at that point. Because even like later on, we start to see, because he even says so himself. he wasn't enjoying running while he was running, but now that that's been taken away from him, he wants to run, but he can't, which is that made me sad when I heard him say that. He's just like, well, I can't really do anything, which is also in turn why he decided to just do it for himself for fun and why he decided to lump up all these misfits, as he said earlier,
Yep.
because he knew that these people wouldn't care about like times and like winning. Like he just wanted it to be a fun atmosphere
Yeah, he just wanted to like have a team to run with.
so he can have no regrets.
Yeah, because I mean, I yeah, like because he even says like after like running this race, like he's done. Like that's it. Like
Which,
he's not gonna be
yeah,
able to really like actually run anymore after this. So it's kind of um like his last chance, his like last hurrah, his like swan song kind of thing where it's like, okay, I need to if I'm gonna do it, I need to do it now because I won't be able to later, but also like I'm gonna, this is like his last chance. If he continued to run after that, then he's gonna probably mess his knee up even more to the point where no surgery would be able to fix it, or like he might not, like if he ruined it even more, he probably wouldn't even be able to walk.
which I think he knew,
Yeah.
especially with this, because it's emphasized a lot that this is going to be his last race ever. And it's also the reason why he's like so determined to gather like all these people and why he wants to make his dream a reality. He knows he doesn't have time anymore, and this is his last shot. So he
Yeah.
wants to like give it his all and everything to the point where, at the last episode, it's revealed that he did take some painkillers beforehand, which
Mhm.
it was hinted about in like the previous episodes before he ran.
Yeah, because even his
Because
doctor is like, I mean, the pain's gonna like, it's gonna make the pain go away, but
don't overdo it, or else you're
yeah,
gonna. That's it. This is Haiji we're talking about.
yeah,
So
he's
he
gonna.
basically put everything on the line so he wouldn't have regrets. And oh my gosh, it was so hard to watch that last episode because you can see it in the moment where it starts to hurt him, and it's just like,
Yeah,
oh my god,
that's
like
why I was like scared that he wasn't gonna finish like the last part where he's like close to the finish line. Because when it shows those parts where it's like that step just like really hurts, or like he knows that like, oh shit, like something doesn't feel right. Because when you're injured and stuff, or like and you're doing something and like like, okay, that doesn't feel right, something is wrong, like it was really scary. I was like, oh no, like are they not even gonna finish? But then he finished, so I was
he finished. And
pretty happy.
Takeru was able to see like when that happened because you can see like
Yeah,
he's
he
all
could
happy to see
see,
Haiji, and then his expression starts changing, and I'm
he
just
could
like, he
tell.
knows, he knows.
Yeah, I was like, oh, he could tell that like it's bad. So yeah, I was so happy that Kakadu was there to like grab him when he like made it to the finish, and I was like, yes, yes,
I was
because
crying the whole time. I was just like, oh my gosh, because this is his dream, this is his big moment, and then for him to like, he obviously, I'm pretty sure he messed up his knee again,
yeah,
but
but also
uh,
like he made it so
and then
they got fifth, so it's like like they're in, they finished the race and he finished it out, which was like makes sense why he would want to finish it because it's his final race, and also like gives him time to kind of get rid of the nerves and like, yeah, like you said, no regrets. Like it's building and building and building up to the moment where he's like, okay, I have zero regrets now. Once he starts, he's not gonna stop till he finishes. So I was like, I was really happy at the end. Dude, I was like crying too. I was like, oh my god. And man, seeing them come together was just like so set my heart.
what made me most emotional was hearing like the ending song too, and I was just like, oh my god, like you guys are really trying to like tear me apart right now. Like
Yeah.
I was a mess. I was crying so hard that I had to stop the whole episode. I could not, and especially knowing that this was like the final episode, that this was it, no more after this. I was just like so emotional. Like even in my review, my last review that I did for it, you can see like I'm trying to hold it in together, but I'm like breaking down at the same time. Like it was beautiful, but also like so heartbreaking, but also like so satisfying to see. Just a lot of emotions packed into one full finale. What a way to end it.
Yeah, I agree. That was like so good. So emotional. Oh man, there were like a lot of really emotional moments, especially between Kaguru and Haiji. Like it was like, I don't know how else to describe it, but it was really, really, really emotional.
Which I think at the end of Hakone Ikeren, they were placed 10th If I remember correctly, I know I wrote it down somewhere, but I have like a bunch of notes on here just so I wouldn't forget anything. I think their whole times accumulated together ended up for them being like 10th place. And I was just like, oh my gosh, they cut it like so close. 10th place, like to anybody else, would be like, what, okay, whatever, especially to the other schools that are probably aiming to the top. But to them, that's everything. That just shows that, here's all these bunch of amateurs who did it for fun and they did it. Look what they achieved. Which is also like another thing that gets repeated in Run with the Wind, which is like which one is right. Because you also have like what this character, which I like to call Tendo 2.0 because he looks like Tendo from Haikyuu.
Yeah.
um, which his name is Sakaki, which it took me a while to remember because I kept calling him Tendo 2.0. But his way was more like, oh, like without having a set goal for yourself and having to win, like what is there? Why are you doing this? Then you have like this other side where it's Haiji, where it's like, nah, man, like just like winning isn't everything. So it's kind of nice to see like these two different points of views in the story because I don't think there's really a right or wrong answer. And I think Haiji even says that he's like, well, there's really not a right or wrong answer. Like he has a point, but we do too. So I thought that was interesting. And again, wise words from Haiji. Which, funny enough, the twins also say like, oh, we kept getting like swayed by his pretty words, but I'm like, well, he is a literature student, so maybe
Yeah.
that's why.
Yeah, you can get lots of really good quotes from literature. Also, I feel like if you're a literature student, yeah, you could probably come up with some pretty nice words speaking from experience.
I remember like the whole fandom, the little tiny fandom that was there.
Hmm.
We called him Mama Haiji because he takes care of everybody in the
Yeah,
team.
he cooks the food. He like makes sure everybody's on like a schedule. He's like the one making sure that like all the practices go the way they're supposed to. And he's the one like that takes care of like when they register for stuff and all that shit.
Hmm.
He's like, yeah, he's definitely the mom of the
Yeah.
group.
Which the characters don't even realize how much they depended on Haiji until like he falls asleep while cooking,
Yeah,
which,
when
oh
he
my
gets
gosh,
like overexhausted and just falls asleep. Which, oh my god, that scared me. I was like, oh my god, when that first happened, I was like, wait, what? I was like, is he like sick? What happened? And then they're like, no, he's just sleeping. And I was like, oh, okay.
I
Um,
cannot tell you how many heart attacks this boy has given me throughout the season, especially having to wait a whole ass week. Holy shit. I was dying. I was like, my boy better be okay, because I swear to God.
yeah, I thought it was like he got sick or there was like he had like some underlying like illness or something that was like a long time thing or something like scary like that. But nope, he was just sleepy, like
Yeah.
overexhausted. He didn't get enough sleep, so he fell asleep.
Which is like rightfully so, because especially with, there was just so much stress on him, I feel like, with the drama between Kakeru and Prince, and then him having to chase over Nico-chan senpai because he wasn't eating properly
Yeah.
to the point where he had to go chase him and be like, "Hey,
Eat
I
this
got your
food.
food."
Eat your share of the food.
That scene was hilarious
Yeah, that's really
because
funny.
Nico-chan senpai was like, "This looks wrong. Why would I accept like a meal from a grown-ass man?" Like, it's just like, dude, just take the food.
Yeah, just eat it. You're the one not eating when you're supposed to, or what you're supposed to. You're not eating your share. You gotta eat. Because he's even like making sure they get like the right portion sizes for each of them, like, because he knows their schedule and everything. So, like, he's definitely like on top of everything to like the point where I'm like, all right, it's like he's like the brain of everything.
Yeah,
So,
because
like,
I thought that was interesting because Nico-chan senpai does say he's like, well, it's because I don't want to gain weight, which we'll get into this character a little bit more.
hmm
But I do like that Haiji was like, no, dude, like I take account into like the meals and everything and how much everything should be portioned and blah blah blah. And I was just like, oh damn. And even Nico-chan senpai was like, oh, wait, really? And that's when he starts to
yeah,
eat again because he's like, well, all right, like if you're making these
yeah.
healthy meals and
If you say so, like, if you're like I trust you. Yeah, because it's like, yeah, like I thought it was really impressive and interesting that he's like taking into account like the right portions for everybody. Because I feel like not everybody's it's the same.
Mhm.
Like he's making sure that like this person gets this amount and this person gets this amount and this person gets this amount because everybody's like different, heights, weights, all that stuff, levels of like endurance and whatever. So he like I'm surprised he's not like into like kinesthetics instead of literature, like because he was really good
Yeah.
at like like their health and shit.
Which, like I said, surprised me. It doesn't like these little moments that you would like oversee, like you wouldn't even guess it until like they mention it. You're like, oh, yeah, that's right. Which, funny enough, I do like this like little cliche that they threw in during the training camp where it's always the manager that throws in like the protein powder thing, like the whole protein powder joke into like their meals and how it's like tasting like the worst thing ever, like it ruins the meal. Example with Free with Go with her strawberry protein powder and she
Yeah.
like nearly kills the boys. But here you have Haiji where Yuki tries to stop him. He's like, no, 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 don't ruin the food. And then he still puts it in. And he's like, wait, this actually tastes good. I was like, yes, that's my boy.
He knows his shit. Hit like I like when characters are like that cliche like you're talking about. Like it's kind of subverted.
Yeah, it's so funny because you expect it to be bad. I was just like with Yuki, I was like, Haiji, don't do it. Don't do it.
Yeah, like I was like that too. I was like, "Oh no, that's like way too much."
But he made the meal good, which is awesome.
They never had to go hungry or worry about food. He'd always like provide. And of course it helps that they like know people in the neighborhood and like the little shopping district that they have there like nearby that they can get the stuff that they need. So that way he can make sure that like everybody gets like a good amount of food, but also like the correct kind of food. Because they're not gonna win by eating just like junk all the time, or if they make their like when the twins tried to make fucking pasta, that was super fucking hilarious. All we know how to do is make pasta, but they don't even know how to make it right.
I know.
And
That
then
was
um and then
hilarious.
Hana comes over and she's like, "Oh, I'll try to make food," and she makes it like really bad.
She like poisons all the boys.
Yeah,
That
and
was
they're all like, "Oh
hilarious
god."
because they were all like,
but some
we
of
need to
them,
go to the restroom.
but some of them liked it though.
Yeah, Prince and
Prince
Kakaru
and
were the
yeah,
only
Kokoro,
ones,
the
which
ones that
I
are
was
like, it's
like,
pretty good. Which I think that's another really funny cliche that's in a lot of just like anime in general, where it's like, oh no, that's the person that can't make food, but there's always like one or two characters that it's like, oh, that's really good. Like, I like their food.
yeah.
It kind of reminded me of like Utapri, where
Oh, with
like, yeah, like
Natsuki.
Natsuki doesn't know
Yeah.
how to cook, but like the only person that likes the food canon, like in canon, is Ren. He'll eat Natsuki's food, like he says in Shining Life, like I love when he cooks. It's so good. Like what the hell? Characters like that always they have like their stomach is like lined with lead or something. That's why they like it. I don't know. I was surprised that like Kakeru and Prince too liked her food. I thought
Me
for
too. It's
sure
like, hmm.
at least like both of them would be like, oh hell no.
Yeah, I think that's about it with Haiji.
Mhm.
Besides the time skip, they do mention that he was coaching something, and I'm like,
Yeah. I want to know, like, I guess he's maybe coaching like a high school team, I assume.
I'm gonna
Maybe?
assume
Or
maybe, yeah.
is he the, well, cuz it didn't seem like he was coaching the university team, but I
Yeah.
feel like he was coaching probably like a high school team or something. Cuz yeah, they don't really go into details. It's just like, oh yeah, like they just say like my his job or whatever, his coaching, and I'm like, okay, I assume he's a coach for a
Hmm.
school or something.
Which I think fits. And then it's funny
Yeah.
because his dad is also like a coach.
Yeah.
So I think that's interesting because, his dad was the reason why he ended up the way that he did. But I think that experience will help other people.
Yeah, and then like I mean, he already like did really well like coaching the university team basically with everybody, so like why not? It's what you're good at. And he loves doing
Hmm.
it. He can still be around like running and everything and like he's pretty knowledgeable obviously. So he would probably be really good at like knowing, okay, well if you're injured like do this, this and this, or like that's a really bad injury, don't do this, whatever. Like he has a lot of experience in like different aspects of like running, so I feel like yeah, being a coach is like the logical step for him to take. Also like it's something he can do without injuring himself even further. Cuz I feel like if he had like a day job or something, like it's a lot of walking and sitting, and like in Japan, like if he was like a regular like office worker or something, like dude, he'd probably fuck up his knee somehow again simply by just like walking around everywhere. If you're a coach, I mean, I feel like it's less that kind of thing and more just like standing around, because he can also like get exercise and like do as much as he can to like give his knee some like physical therapy even like when he's not actually coaching. I don't know.
I think those are our thoughts with our boy Haiji. Let's go ahead and dive into Kakeru.
Kageyama clone.
Kageyama 2.0.
Like looks wise for sure.
He could be
I guess
Kageyama's brother.
I guess personality wise too a little bit. Yeah, he could totally be his brother.
Especially personality-wise, especially at the beginning. Holy
Yeah. Oh
shit.
my god.
There's
Yeah. Like when he was
so
first
many
introduced,
similarities.
I was like, he's literally Kageyama. They look the same and they act the same. They're the same
Mhm.
person. I did
See.
like his like character development
Yeah, his character development was really good.
when he started caring about the team and like actually got into like, okay, I want to run with everybody. Then I really liked him because at the beginning I was like, oh, he's like, no, oh, he's really annoying. Oh no, he's being like Kageyama. No, he's got that like kind of attitude.
Because he has like this attitude where he's like, no, I'm not gonna run, blah, blah, blah.
Well, and he's also like
Which,
really standoffish because he's like, I don't work well on teams, so don't even ask me.
which at this point, like, we're like, why? Like, just be a team player. Let just, because at this point, like, everyone just doesn't want to, like, help Haiji and help him, like, achieve his dream. Everyone's like, no. But Haiji being Haiji slowly, like, gets everybody reeled in, whether, like, by pressure, we're like, oh, if you don't do this, then I gotta kick you out. But with Kakeru, he was just like straight up no. Like there's no way. He was like holding his ground as much as he could, which, as soon as everyone slowly starts to like change their minds and everything, you're just like, dude, just let it go. Just be a part of the team. What like at this point, it's not gonna hurt. I don't know. Like at first I was just like this dude, man, and it doesn't really make sense until like you dive into his story later on. It's just like, oh, that makes sense now. That explains all like his actions and stuff and why he was so like no, which spoilers, the reason why our boy Kakeru was like hell no is because he felt really responsible of what happened back in high school because they had like this super shitty coach.
Oh man, dude, I was I'm with him with what he did. I would have done the same fucking thing.
He snapped,
Yeah.
which if you guys are wondering like what are you guys talking about, is he beat up his coach.
He punched him in the face because he was overexert. Well, he wasn't overexerting this other player, but he like this first year member of the team is like injured, and the coach is telling him, well, if you're gonna continue to be injured, you're really not worth my time, so you need to just quit. Like I don't have time for people like to be injured and not pull their weight or whatever. But that student was also on like a scholarship for track at the school. So it's like, like instead of helping the student, the coach is basically like shutting him out, and Kakeru, god damn it. They're so fucking similar. I just want to say Kageyama, god damn it, Kakeru. He like he's really conflicted because it's like, well, it's the coach, like you should just do what he tells you. Like if you don't have like if you're not going to get your injury better and you're just going to keep fucking it up, like just leave. But he's also really conflicted because it's like, but like you need to help him. He's on the team. Like he's there for a reason. I guess because like Kakeru is trying to think about it. Like what if that was me? Like what would I do? How would I handle things? And I think yeah, he just kind of. Well, also I think Kakeru was like getting tired of being praised all the time because he was always like the only one getting praised. So it's like he's really getting like alienated from everyone else on the team, and then you have this other kid who's getting alienated but in like a negative way. So he's like I feel like it's kind of like two sides of the same coin really with him. So I think he just had a lot of like pent up emotions, one because everybody was like jealous of him, like the rest of the team is like clearly jealous because he's always getting praised and he's tired of it because he just wants to run, obviously, like that's all he wants to do. And then like the coach is kind of like always like praising him up because I think the coach is also trying to like take credit for what Kakeru's doing, even though it's like, I mean, you're not really doing anything, you're not really the one who's succeeding, like you're just taking the credit. I felt for him right there. Like I was like I would have done the same thing.
The coach kept pissing me off because at first they show you glimpses of his past, but they don't really dive into it until like halfway into the season. You just see like this part where he's getting like the special treatment where he's like above everybody else, and you can tell that Kakeru feels kind of uncomfortable about it, and he wants to be a part of the team because he's just like, shouldn't I be doing what they're doing? And the guy was just like, oh no, no, you're like the exception, you're like the best. Blah blah blah. And I'm just like, I don't know. This isn't good because this is gonna make people like not like him and start talking shit. And then you get to later on in the episodes where the whole entire thing is revealed. Which the way that it gets revealed, because he encounters Sakaki again, his former teammate,
Yeah.
and he's about to like punch him in the face, and the episode ends like with him. You hear like somebody getting punched, and you're just like, oh my god! Like I really like in that moment, I had like so much anxiety because I was like, dude, I swear to God, if he punched him in the face, I'm gonna like scream. But no, it was just like a flashback of what happened in high school, and you're like, holy shit, he punched his coach. And that's
Yeah.
when you start to see his past and see the poor first year student get basically like run down to the ground, which was like you can see because they kept focusing on the guy's knee like over and over again, like how it starts to get worse and worse as time goes by.
Yeah.
The coach is like, no, you gotta push through. He's like, oh, well, you don't think anybody else has an injury? Like, everyone else is fine.
Yeah,
So you need to push through. And
yeah,
I was just like,
he's like telling him like everybody else has gotten an injury on here like every once in a while and they've just pushed through it and they're fine. So I don't know why you're like whining. And it's just like, dude,
this
not
dude clearly needs a hospital.
it like not every injury is the same. Like clearly this kid fucked something up really bad. If you were a good coach, you would, get that kid some help
Yeah.
and not make him run on it.
And Kakuro does try to like tell him, he's like, well, you don't have to do this if you don't want to, if it's becoming painful.
Mhm.
And the guy's just like, well, you wouldn't understand because, you're above the rest. And I was just like, oh. Which Kakuro really, he genuinely did try to help out in any way he could, but it backfired, obviously, on him. Because this guy thinks that, no, he's above everyone else. He's not going to understand. Especially because the guy does ask him, he's like, have you ever had an injury? And he's like, well, no. So it's kind of like, well, you can't relate then, which sucks ass, man, because all he can really do is just watch from the sidelines, and there's nothing else that he can do. And then having all this added pressure of him being the best, of course he's gonna snap.
Yeah, it's like
Which
pent up frustration.
yeah, I think is so dumb because Sakaki blames Kakeru over this whole issue. He's like, well, if you would have like held back and stayed quiet and like held your own and just looked away, we would have been able to run, blah blah blah. And I'm just like, dude, that's not like right though.
Yeah, like the whole situation was wrong. The coach shouldn't have been like doing that in the first place. Like I'm surprised. I mean, I get it. It's like you have to respect your coach and everything. But at the same time, it's like, okay, if you see something is like wrong, if he's kind of like basically like abusing this player and like telling him to do things when he's, clearly injured and needs help with the injury and you're basically ignoring it. I feel like that's grounds to say like, okay, maybe there's something wrong, or like maybe if like the rest of the team had like tried to help this other kid, like maybe things would have been different. But they had to get punished as a team, so that's just how it went down. But it's not Kakeru's fault technically. Like,
That's why I didn't like Sakaki's like reason. He's like, "Oh, it's your fault that I didn't get to run my 30 or blah blah. You ruined it for us." I'm just like, dude, you did nothing. You were
well,
just watching from the sidelines, snickering and being like talking shit too about the
well,
poor guy.
well, and it's also another thing. It's like, are you? I mean, you're on a team right now in your university. You still got into a fucking university with a team on the team. You're fucking running still. So like, who the fuck cares? Like, you're still doing what you want.
And it's kind of like, well, somebody should have spoken up sooner. Maybe this wouldn't have happened. They probably would have gotten a different coach or something. But nobody did, and this is the result. This is like on just everybody's fault, not just Kakaru, because Kakaru has like he's not the one to blame. It's like the whole entire team because nobody said anything.
Yeah.
They
Well,
just
yeah,
like
yeah, it's like
looked away,
everybody's fault. Kakeru's the only one who like actually did something. Whether that affected the team negatively or positively, it doesn't matter. He did something. Nobody else stood up and spoke up or anything.
which is the main reason why Kakaru just wants to run alone and he just doesn't want to be with anybody because,
Yeah.
within reason of his
Well, yeah,
past.
he feels like, but if I'm on a team, something bad is going to happen again. It's going to be my fault, and I'm going to be blamed for things. And, like, I'm not going to be able to, do what I want to do and run. And, like,
Because he
I'm going
likes to
to.
run,
Yeah.
he just doesn't feel like he can. Which, he actually starts running away from his past or tries to because things are like going to shit. He has his like scholarship taken away and everything.
Yeah. To
So
the
he's
point where, at the very beginning, the reason Haiji meets him is because he stole some bread or a sandwich or whatever from a convenience store because he doesn't have enough money to pay his dorm rent
or to eat.
or
So
to
it's
eat.
like
So he's like, oh shit. But it's like, well, I have this skill. I can just steal this and fucking run. So, like, yeah, running's like a part of Kakeru. Like, if you take it away, like, what else does he have? Nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, eventually he has, like, the friendships he made with the team. That's the character development, but at the beginning, he's one of those characters that's like, if I don't have running, I have nothing at all. Like, what else do I have to live for? I'm nothing without running.
Yeah. It's kind of like with Kageyama and Haikyuu where
Yeah.
they call him like the king, and it's just because of the way that he plays and how he's just like, no, you're doing this wrong, doing that wrong, do it
Yeah.
like this, which it's so funny to see like these similarities. Like they're similar, but also very, very much different.
It's kind of eerie how similar they are. It's not just because they look very similar.
But it's almost like the same thing, just different
Yeah.
backgrounds and stories. It's weird, but I like it.
I liked Kakaru at the end. Like, I liked when he finally like came out of his shell and was like trying to like be friends with everybody, because I liked all the other characters like kind of noticing, being like, oh, he's like actually trying, or he's like being friendlier.
Yeah, he starts to speak up what he wants to say and everything and tries to like form these bonds because
Yeah.
now he's like letting himself like he feels like okay, like this is actually okay to be this way. Like I don't have to worry so much about what happened before and feel
Yeah.
like it's my fault.
Like, that's because that stuff's like in the past. Like, whatever. Who cares?
And then the characters even say it too. They're like, it's in the past. Like, who cares?
Like that Lion King quote. Like, the past is in the past. It doesn't matter. I don't remember what the quote says, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
The past is over with. Especially because, like, they even mention, like, well, like, he broke his coach's nose, but, like, the coach never, like, commented, like, ever on anything. Like, they wrote about it and everything. Like, it was a big deal pretty much, but, like, eventually, nobody ever talked about it.
They wanted to keep it under wraps, which ended up being exposed because of that creepy article guy.
Yeah, that guy was weird.
Yeah, that guy was I don't know. I don't like it. Obviously this comes back to bite Kakuro in the butt, but thankfully since he got it over with and talked it out with everybody, it doesn't really bug him. So Haiji and like the old man that is like with them, they're like, it's in the past, we already talked about it, it's fine.
Yeah.
Nothing to worry about.
Well,
Which
I mean,
was
because at this point, like, nobody, like, the people that learn about what happens, like, they recognize his name or, like, the school, like, the high school he went to, but they don't really, like, just like, oh,
they don't know what happened.
yeah, I've heard that name before. I've heard that school before. But they don't really, like, nobody ever really goes into, like, depth, and nobody ever really, like, kind of comes after him. I was glad there was no, like, cliche thing of, like, how can you have this guy on your team? He punched his high school coach. Like, he's not a team player or whatever. Like, I'm surprised nobody ever brought that up from, like,
hmm
besides like his old teammate. Like, what could that guy do? But I'm surprised nobody in like an authoritative position was like, I don't want this guy on our team, or you guys shouldn't have him on the team because he's a violent person. He has violent tendencies. Like, it's not a good look. Like, nobody cares because at this point, like, they're all adults. They're high school. They're university students. Like, whatever.
hmm
I was just glad there was no cliche, because I was really worried that was gonna happen. I was like, oh no, I hope like some bullshit thing doesn't happen where like they can't participate or something because they have Kakeru on their team or whatever, and he's got like a bad
Yeah.
reputation. So like, I was glad that cliche was not in there, and I'm glad they did
hmm
handle things like adults in this show, which I'm also like really surprised that it was about a university team, because usually sports anime it's like a high school team or a middle school team.
Yeah, these
So
college ones are super rare to come by.
I was really happy that it was like people more like close to like our age.
hmm
People in their like earlier to mid 20s. It was really refreshing, because it's like, I mean, I love seeing like the high school stuff, but it was nice to see that all these boys are,
Because they're more
closer to,
relatable
yeah,
in
they're
that
more
sense
relatable in that
too.
sense, yeah. Because it's like, well, I was in high school like a long ass time ago at this point, so
Yeah.
like I don't know if I can really relate too much. Like, I
hmm
can relate, but it's like, oh no, I'm more like inclined to relate more with like these adult characters.
Yeah, me too.
Also they are all of age, so it's okay.
It's okay to thirst
I
over
don't have
them.
to feel weird thirsting over any of them.
Thirsty hours are okay.
Yeah.
Oh, when he starts to push himself, because at first, he went from like, I don't want to do this, to because at first he's like, we can't do Hakone Ikuren with like all this group, like it's impossible, and just like he's being realistic about the whole situation.
Yeah.
Haiji, he's being optimistic, and he's just like, well, give it a chance. And obviously, he can't see that, and it isn't until he starts to push himself and he starts to like get angry at everybody. He's like, well, they're not taking it seriously, especially with Prince, because Prince at this time is like the slowest, which we'll get into him
Yeah.
again later. To the point where like they end up having their own little fight and he tells them to quit, which I still don't think is was okay for him to say, which leads up to that fight between him and Hygiene, telling him, you know, like running fast isn't everything and blah blah blah. Which obviously it starts to eat him up because, like I said earlier when I was talking about Hygie, you start to see like these bangs form under his eye, like these dark ass circles, and I'm just like, oh my god, like what is happening? Like you're starting to see it slowly take effect on his body. Because even he gets frustrated that his time isn't changing, it's actually getting slower. And he's just like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I'm running every day, I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do. Like, why am I not getting better? I'm like, well,
It's all this negative energy around you. Like, it's, you know, it's the attitude. It's the
mm-hmm.
way he's thinking about everything. Like, because if you go into something with a bad attitude, or like you think like, oh, this is never going to work, this is going to suck, like, of course it's going to suck and not going to work, because you're already thinking that it's going to end up that way. Like, you're
Yeah,
not really trying, you're not trying to be positive about something. Like, that's what like. Honestly, I feel like that when I go to work sometimes. Like, if I go in with a bad attitude, like, oh, today's gonna suck, like, then of course it's gonna, like, probably suck, because I'm not trying to be positive or like do my best. Like,
yeah.
I think like Kakadu had to really kind of learn that it's not about, it's
He
about,
really had to learn.
he really had to learn it was about the journey, and not like being the best immediately.
Yeah, which obviously was really hard for him to like see that to the point where Haiji had to like take him out of it for a little bit. He's like, "You're not gonna be in the next race. You need to sit down and like take a
Yeah,
breather."
you need to, like, yeah, cuz he needed to, cuz he's always like in the front. He's always like running away from everybody pretty much, cuz he would always like never run with the group. He'd always just like go off and do his own thing. And like, yeah, Haiji was like, "No, you need to like sit back. You need to watch everybody else. Like, you
Yeah,
need
and that's
to."
when he really starts to understand
Yeah, because
what it
like
really
I
means.
forgot who said it. I don't remember which character it was, but they're like, when they talked about like, well, running behind you, Kakaru, is like really amazing, and so like I wanted, like, me personally, I wanted Kakaru to like see what it was like running behind everybody else, to see their potential and see how like good they could be with just practice, and the like positive energy from everybody else.
And that's when he starts to see like, everyone is taking it seriously. Just because he knows they have free time and they can goof off and have fun doesn't mean they're not taking it seriously.
Yeah,
That's when he starts to realize, and Haiji even says, he's like, I don't know about you, but I saw everybody giving it their all. Do you think
yeah.
anybody slacked off? And that's when he's just like, oh shit, you're right.
Because I feel like
And
he
that's
goes
like,
he goes into it with like, well, of course nobody wants to run. Nobody wanted to do this in the first place. So why the fuck would they want to like try at all if they're not gonna
yeah,
get anything out of it? But it's like, no, they're taking it seriously. I mean, Haiji kind of ropes everybody in to take it seriously, but
everyone slowly finds their own reason to do it.
yeah,
Which I'm really glad that this was like one of his turning points, but also like the training camp was another turning point for Kakaro to fully, finally move forward from all the crappy baggage that he's been carrying. Which is why it makes him a good character, because then you can start to see like his face light up a little bit. He starts to talk a little bit more. He's more like positive. He doesn't let things get to him because the boy has a short fuse, especially like at the beginning. Because clearly, I mean, he almost punched Saki's face.
yeah.
But
Which,
thankfully,
I
everyone
mean,
stopped him.
well, I wouldn't have been mad if he did that, because that dude was annoying as fuck.
He was, and you could tell that he was really trying to provoke Kakuru and like everyone else.
Well, it's kind of like he kind of wanted. He was kind of like telling him like, "Are you gonna punch me? You're gonna show everybody on your so-called team like what kind of person you actually are. Like, if you really do punch me." Like, he's trying to like pull that negative attitude and stuff. Like, he's trying to pull out that person that he thinks Kakadu is,
When he
when
isn't.
he really isn't that kind of person.
Which thankfully, I love that Haiji like because Haiji's pretty calm and cool about it, but then I really like that he'll throw some shade back at the guy, and that shuts
Yeah.
him up real quick. He's just like, oh, like have fun,
Have
or
fun.
oh,
Have fun.
are you gonna be busy like picking up crap?
Because you're a
It's just like,
first
oh,
year and you're not actually on the actual team.
yeah. Which I
Because
was
he's
just
kind
like,
of like,
ooh.
he's like, well, everyone here on our team is actually running. You're not really running. You're not
I
as
was
good
like,
as
get
you
him,
think you are, my guy.
get him, Haiji.
Yeah, I enjoyed that. I loved enjoying like Haiji's little kind of snapbacks. That was great.
They're really good. They were good. and very much needed. I guess fast forward to like I guess Kakeru's race, which that was really good too. Which I wasn't expecting him to break Fujioka's record because Fujioka breaks it and then he breaks Fujioka's
Yeah.
record and I was just like, holy shit, like he actually did what he said he was gonna
Yeah,
do.
I was like surprised that that happened like so quick. I was like, damn. Because they even say like Fujioka like kept that record for like 11 minutes or whatever. Or 7 minutes or whatever. Or like Kakeru beat him by like 7 minutes or something.
Yeah, and I was just like, oh
And I
shit.
was like, shit, that guy had the record for like 5 seconds. And then Kakeru beat the record. I was like, damn.
Which is kind of cool. I really do like the relationship that they ended up having between him and
Yeah.
Fujioka.
Hmm.
Because, like, Haiji even says it, like, Kakeru is basically the reason why Fujioka is trying so hard and why he's, like, getting excited now. And in turn, that's gonna help Kakeru to motivate himself and to, like, strive even higher. And I guess on another note, I do like that before he takes off, because one of the twins, I believe I wrote it down who it was Joji, which is, I think, the younger one. I could be totally wrong.
Hold on, I have the Wikipedia right here. Jota is the older twin, so Joji's the younger twin.
Okay, yeah. So, yay, I actually got that right for once. Joji is with him, and like out of nowhere, Kakeru is just like, "What's it like to fall in love?" And you're just like, "What the fuck?" Because it's like
Yeah.
so random. Even Joji's just like, "Dude, what the fuck are you talking about? What are you on?" And he's like, "Well," he's like, "I think I'm in love too." It's such a nice feeling. And then the poor boy's just like, "Wait a minute, who are you in love with?" Which, as the audience, you're just like, well, it's kind of obvious he's in love with running. But funny enough is that he does say that running is Haiji, so
Is he in love with height? I mean, I wouldn't mind that. I kind of ship them.
I know, like
There's so
the
many
minute
moments of like sexual tension between them that I'm like, why aren't you guys like making out right now? Kiss him, kiss each other. Like this is the perfect opportunity. You're not taking it.
because that was really interesting that he said it. I was just like, oh,
Yeah.
like what?
Are
Does
you
that mean
you
that
trying
he's
to
in love
say
with
something?
Haiji?
He's trying to say something, Kakeru, without saying something.
Which I thought was interesting. I mean, we can take it however we want, but I'm pretty sure all of us shippers that were shipping these two went nuts.
I mean, I totally see it. I ship it.
But that just goes to show you like just how much of an impact Kaiji has had on Kakeru,
Yeah.
which is
I mean, he
very
is
beautiful.
he is his senpai, so gotta at least like senpai's gotta have an impact on him somehow.
And on Kakeru's final note, that way you guys can know where he was in his time skip, is he's in his fourth year of college, and the club is still going,
Yay! And he's kind of like the captain.
basically, which I thought was really sweet.
Yeah, which I was like, yay! He continued it, and their team is so big now. By the
I know, I was
time they're
so
in their fourth
surprised.
year, and the twins are still on the team too, which I was surprised by too because during the Hakone Ekiden, like I
Something happens
forget
with the
I
twins.
forget which one it is, but like one of the other ones is like, oh, he's a better runner than me. I'm probably gonna quit after this. That didn't happen. They both stayed on the team. I assume they loved it too much. Like by the end, that they're like, nah, we're gonna stay. Also, like, I mean, where the fuck were they gonna live?
Which I guess we can talk about our boys, Kakeru and Haiji, and their relationship because, like, I mean, we briefly talked about it, but I think we should talk about their relationship because it's just so pretty, like, so beautiful. Because, like, you have Kakeru who's, like, in this tough situation where he's just, like, at his lowest. And then you have someone like Haiji, slowly but surely, he starts to, like, inspire him. And, like, they both, like, complement each other because there's like moments in the anime where Haiji kind of starts to doubt himself, especially the way that he was coaching. He's like, man, like maybe I should have been a little bit more tougher. Maybe I should have added more practices and stuff like that. And I do like that Kakeru like kind of reassures him, and he's like, nah, dude, like if I had to choose, like this way that you're teaching is like the best way because I'm able to run like as free as possible instead of having like this pressure and like expectations and stuff.
Yeah, they understand each other.
And even like Haiji was like the only one that tells Kakeru about like his dad and stuff, and a little bit of it about his past. Because Fujioka does like briefly mention about what happened to Haiji, because he's like, oh, he was supposed to come to my university, and Kakeru and Musa was with them at the time. They were kind of shocked. They were just like, wait, what? And he's just like, oops, I kind of overstepped. I shouldn't have said that. Like, I'll let Haiji tell you when he's ready. Bye. That's all we get. And it isn't until, like, I think they're on the train, and that's when they have, like, this moment, and Haiji just kind of starts opening up to Kakeru. It's just like, well, my dad is, like, a coach, and here's basically, like, my past. This is what happened. But it also shows you like just how much these two like trust each other, especially because then you'll hear Kakeru be like, "Nah, dude, like you're doing good. Like if you're doubting yourself, like don't do it." But their relationship is just like I said, very, very beautiful.
It's a nice relationship. Like you were saying, it's I liked seeing it because it's like, I mean, it could be a romantic thing, but it's also just like a really good understanding. Like sometimes you just have like these people in your life that like understand you the most, or that you compliment well, that it's like it's a relationship that goes beyond like friendship or romance or whatever. It's like they could not see each other for like 10 years, and like if they met up again later, it'd be like they never left each other. Like it's
Yeah.
like, everybody has that one friend where it's like, yeah, like I could not see someone for like 5 years, and then the next time I see them, it's like I saw them yesterday. Like you just kind of pick up right back where you left off, and you really compliment each other. So yeah, I really like their relationship.
Yeah, because even like Haiji would always be like, "You're gonna be like amazing. You're gonna be the best. Just wait." He's like he has like so much faith in Kakeru, and I really like how he described the way that he ran. I can't remember exactly like what he said, but he basically says something like he's just like a shooting star when I see him run, and I'm just like, "That's beautiful, man."
Yeah. The way they see each other is really interesting
And I do
because
like that. I think this is another thing that happens in the train because he starts to like feel bad that he dragged everybody. Which at this point I'm like, Haiji, why are you feeling bad now? Like you're at this point now. Like there's no
I know like
turning back.
they're all into it. They're all involved. Like they're not backing out. Like it's okay.
Yeah, because he does apologize. I know he does apologize to Prince. He's like, sorry for dragging you into this,
Cuz yeah,
and
even then Prince is like, well,
too late for that now.
yeah, you don't really have to apologize. It's fine. I'm already
Because
here. Might as well.
even like Kakuto tells him, nah, dude, like we don't really feel forced. Like I'm actually grateful because he does say, had I not met you, I probably wouldn't be here right now.
Be out on the streets.
He'd be homeless, who knows? He'd be like this angry, sad teen, not really teenager, I guess adult
This
boy.
angry, sad person.
Yeah, which is really nice. I do like their relationship, and like I said, Kakeru says running is Haiji. That's what he is. And I do like that at the end of the episode, it ends with the same line that Haiji spoke to
Yeah.
Kakeru, where he's like, "Do you like running?" But instead, it's Kakeru saying, and I'm just like, "Bitch, what the fuck?" If that didn't make you cry, I don't know what else would, man.
I know.
But besides these two characters, let's go ahead and dive into more characters. I guess who should we talk
Yeah.
about? Who do
I
you
don't
want to talk about?
I don't know. Cuz like there's so many really great characters on this team. I like everybody.
Mhm.
Well, I like mostly everybody. I think the twins are kind of annoying.
Do you want to just dive into the twins since
Yeah,
just get
because
them
they're
over
like,
with?
yeah, we'll just get them over. I don't really have too much to say about them. They're kind of annoying, and they're kind of only there because they want girls.
That's
Like,
basically like their
girls are
motivation.
gonna like us, so yay, we love girls, blah blah blah. And I mean, they didn't really have like character development. I was kind of annoyed with them when they got mad at Haiji, and I'm just like, or at Kakura, who the hell did they get mad at? Whatever, it doesn't matter. It was at Haiji, yeah, because they're like, you lied to us, dude. Like, even though I was like,
Yeah,
why would you get mad at? Like, why are they mad?
because they start questioning like everything after they qualify for the Hakone Ikeda, and I'm just like, dudes, why now? You had all this time to like say something, but now it starts to click. Like, oh my god! Because at this point, they start to like think like, well, what are we doing? What exactly is the top? Because Haiji didn't exactly say they were in it to win it. He just said, let's aim for the top. That could mean anything.
Yeah, but I was just kind of like, well, like whatever. You guys are already in this. Like you already. I thought you were having fun, so like, why does it matter at this point? I just got really annoyed with them because I'm like, you guys are the only ones that are like mad about this. And literally everyone else doesn't care.
Yeah, because they're like, well, if winning isn't everything, then what the fuck are we doing this for? And I'm just like, dudes, you're missing the point.
Well, yeah, because everybody else at that point kind of realized like, oh no, like it's not. We're not trying to win. We just wanna, get as high as we can to like as close to the top as possible, and we want to get to the Ekiden race, so it's like, okay.
Yeah, because even Prince says it. They're like, do you guys know how many more people would kill to have our spot right now? And you guys are being, basically ungrateful right now. I was
Yeah,
just like, yep.
like, well, it's kind of like you guys are basically like shitting on all of the progress we've made as a team
Hmm.
and individually. Like if you're barely now questioning like everything that's going on, there's really no point. Also, like Haiji didn't have to tell them what the top actually meant.
Yeah, like everyone else got it. There were because twins even asked, like, did you guys know about this? And everyone was just like, well, yeah. And even Kakura was just like, I've been saying this from the beginning. Like, we're not going to be first. That's impossible.
Yeah, yeah, and it's like we're not aiming for first. We just want to get as close within 10 places as, as best we can, because then we can say we made it. Like we did it. Like that's what I really liked about like the sportsmanship with like this, cuz like with running it's not like about, at least with like these kind of like long distance running things, it's not about who's first. It's more about like stamina and like, I mean, sure, it'd be nice to get to like be the first one to cross the finish line, but it's also nice to be within like the top whatever number of people, because that, like guarantees you like a spot in the next race. It's not like a
Yeah.
it's not like one of those like really like hard-hitting team sports like basketball, baseball, volleyball, whatever, where like, I mean, like if you lose, you lose. Like it, like there's a loser and a winner, and it's like I feel like with those kinds of team sports it's more like, if we don't reach the top, we suck. Even though like, that's really not how it should be. But with these like, individual kind of things with like the running and stuff. Like anybody can run. Everybody can run. You just have to like build up the, proper stamina to like win within like a certain margin of people or whatever. I don't know if that makes sense or not, but yeah, I
Yeah.
just think them getting mad about that was super dumb and annoying. And then like I honestly did not care about who Hana liked or was in love with, because I'm like, there's way better boys on this team, girl.
Like the reason why they like are okay with it at the end is just because Hana talked to them and they were like, "Well, I trust Haiju. You guys should give him a little faith." And it's just like, oh Jesus Christ, these boys. And then during the race, I think I wrote it down who it was. No, they did not. But one of the twins, I'm gonna assume it was the older one because he gets distracted and because
Yeah,
he thinks that Hana likes him. And I'm
yeah.
just like, oh my
And
God.
he kind of like realizes his own feelings for her at that point. But I'm like, why do I care about this?
I'm just like, this is the wrong place and wrong time. Like, yeah, it does motivate him to run faster, but then this fucking idiot tells his other brother, he's like,
Yeah.
I think she likes me. And I'm just like, you just fucked up his like focus.
Yeah, now he's just gonna think about that the whole rest of the fucking goddamn time. Like, dude.
And he does. They have to like fucking give this boy a message like, if you love her, then run. Which I like that the old man gets embarrassed and everyone's looking at him like, what the
Yeah,
fuck?
everyone's like, why are you telling your runner this? What the fuck does that have to do with the race? Like, yeah, I don't know. They're kind of their subplot of like who likes who. Like that was dumb. I did not need that because I didn't. I mean, I only cared at the end because they kept mentioning like she likes one of them, but like who the fuck is it? And then they never tell you. So I'm like, wow, you brought that up to no payoff.
Yeah, because
So
the only
why
one that knows is
is
Musa, which
Musa like?
Musa is so fucking hilarious.
He's great.
We'll get into him and his little gossip he tells about the twins,
Yeah.
but that was like the best part regarding the twins was with Musa.
I'm just mad that like they never said, and he's the only one that like knows, and I'm just like,
I
why
know.
would
I
you
like
not
that
tell us?
he's just like, well, that's between me and Hana, and he has like this goofy grin, and I'm just like, you bitch,
Yeah, it's like, dude, what the fuck?
spill the beans, man, spill the beans.
Tell us.
And even like at the end of like the time skip, the twins are like, well, they agree that they're not gonna tell Hana until they graduate. And I'm just like, oh my god, you're still on this. Which interestingly enough, in the OP, they do give you a hint of like the older twin, what he was saying in his race, how he felt that the other one was better suited at running, and how they need to be like in different paths or whatever. And he's like, I'm gonna quit, but obviously he doesn't because he's doing it for Hana. I'm gonna assume that's
Yeah.
his motivation. But I thought that was interesting that they kind of referenced that in the OP where they're like, there's two paths and they start running in different directions, and the two of them look each other like, hey, no, this way, let's go this way. I thought that was interesting. I
Yeah,
was like, huh.
now that you bring it up, yeah, I totally like.
And Hana is like right there too, looking at them
Yeah,
like, what the fuck?
she's like behind them.
That was a nice little reference, which you won't get until like you get to that episode, and it's just like, oh.
Yeah.
But other than that, that's basically it with the twins. There really isn't much to them. Like they're good at the
Yes.
beginning, they're like
Yeah.
cheerful and everything, and they're goofy, but after that, it's just like,
Yeah, like they're kind of funny and enjoyable at the beginning, but then as soon as they get into like all the shit that goes down, I'm like, okay, they're just being annoying, and I don't really care for these characters too much anymore.
I think maybe if they would have like dived into that at the beginning, maybe I wouldn't have had that much of a big deal. But
Yeah, but I feel like everyone else is much more interesting because it's like, well, we have twins because oh, it's twins, haha, it's funny. I
Hmm.
was like, everybody likes twins. Who
That's
did I
funny.
who did I really like in this show? Let me see. I guess we can talk about Prince because he's like the one who has to like overcome like the most in terms of like running in general.
Yes.
Oh my god, I was so proud of him when he got his fucking like official time. I was like, yes.
Me too.
Yes. I was so, cuz it's like, dude, he's the last one. I'm like, bitch, if you don't get this shit, y'all ain't
I
gonna
was
go to the
getting
race.
so worried
Me too.
because at the beginning, Prince is like the one that sucks the most out
Yeah.
of
Well, he
everybody.
has like a terrible running form and I'm like, is he really going to run like this the whole time?
He runs like a dinosaur,
He runs
basically.
so weird and I'm just like, who the fuck runs like that?
It's so funny because in one of the like once they start running and everything, you can see like a butterfly is in front of him and it passes
Yeah.
by him. Like
Yeah,
it's
like
just like
that's how slow he's running.
and then his t-shirts where it says like why. It's just
Yeah, it's
like
just like yeah, I would laugh with this. It's like why, like how,
those
or
are big
something like that.
moves.
Like yeah, like his T-shirt always had like a question of like, why the fuck am I doing this? Why am I here?
And then
What?
they tie him up to the dog to run. It's just,
Yeah, that was really funny,
that's so funny. It just goes to show you how bad at running he was, which I can relate as someone who doesn't run and hates running. Like
dude. Dude,
I would
same.
be with Prince, man.
Dude, same. I would be running as fast as him because I fucking suck at running. I always hated running. I hated running when I did volleyball and basketball. Especially basketball. I fucking hated running. Oh my god. It's the running sucks, dude. I hate running. Like I could feel like when he would say like I hate running. I really hate running. And I'm like, dude, same. Same. Cuz just like the feeling of like your calf muscles and your thighs like hurting and burning is not a fun feeling for me. I don't like how it feels.
Yeah,
And
like even he was like breathing heavy. He was going,
dude,
ah. I was
and
just
like
like, yep.
that would like bring back memories of like to me of when like we would have to run a bunch in practice for like basketball like around the gym and stuff, dude, and like my throat would like, oh, like it would hurt. It would feel like I'm tasting blood, you know. Like it gets to that point where I'm like, damn, I'm really out of shape, or I just like suck at running. I felt that.
I know. And then what makes him even more relatable is that he's a huge weeb like us.
Yes, he's a big otaku. He likes to read manga and shit. And I'm like, yeah, man, same. I would
He
much
gets it,
rather
man.
be I'd much rather be in my room doing that than fucking running.
Hmm. And he's a literature boy too, so
Yes, and
there's
he's
that. Which I mean, he reads manga, so it's
yeah,
like, okay, makes sense.
yeah. Which I was like, oh yeah, he's a and he's very cute. He's very pretty.
He's very
He got
pretty.
the long eyelashes and everything. But I really liked him. He was one of my favorites.
He was a good one. I think he was like everybody's favorite when this was airing, because like, how can you like not fall in love with Prince?
Yeah. He's like he's everyone's dream boy.
And I really like that after the training camp, he did get faster.
Yeah.
Like he starts to realize it
Like
once they go back into like the matches or whatever to get
the
their official
meets.
records.
Yeah, when they go to the track meets.
He's like, wait a minute, I'm not alone anymore. Because he starts to see like he's with a group of people,
Yeah,
and it's just like,
he's
oh
like,
my
oh man.
god.
Yeah, yeah, like he starts to see results. And so like, you know, like just walking on that treadmill like really helped him.
Hmm.
And like, you know, running in the mornings every day and I practice like really helped. To the point where like cuz before he was like finishing a race in like 30 minutes. And then
Yeah,
eventually it got to where he got an official record cuz he was less than 16 and a half minutes.
which was oh, that was great. I was so proud
When
of
he
him. Which
did
I
it. Me
like
too.
that everyone else around them were like concerned about Prince. They're like, you can back out. Are you sure you're okay? And they're like, no, this is how I run. It's just
He's
like, what?
yeah, he was like, "No, I just this is how I run." And it's just like, "Okay." Cuz like some of them run do kind of run weird and I'm like, "What? How the fuck is it like are you running like that?"
Which I do like that when he's running and they get into that fight with him and Kakeru, because he does feel bad and he's just like, well, fuck not really like fuck Kakeru because he understands, but also like he feels bad. He's just like, well, yeah, that's gonna hurt my feelings. I do like that Haiji does reassure him and he's just like, nah, dude, like don't let it get to you. And he basically tells him, since I'm able to run with you, I'm able to see like the important things and take in the view and not like stress about things.
Well, it kind of makes him feel like he's not doing it all for naught. Like it's okay, you know. I'm like I like that Haiji reassures him, like, you know, I'm running with you. Like you know, he can run faster, obviously. Like Haiji can go at his own pace or whatever. But it's like I enjoy running with you. That's what's most important. It's not about like us becoming like necessarily like faster. It's more like enjoying it and just like slowly getting better, like gradually. You don't have to become fast like instantly. But I liked Prince. He's a cutie.
He is a cutie, and I do like his relationship towards the end with Kakeru and yeah, with Kakeru. Because at first, like obviously ever since their fight, like things end up really sour, but Kakeru does make an effort to like understand him and get to know him, and I do like that because of
Yeah,
this, it ends up like helping him fix his form, and he's just like, wait a minute, your manga, we can help that to fix your form,
yeah,
because
that's what I really liked. That was when I started liking Kakeru because I'm like, oh, he's finally like helping out. He like actually cares. He
hmm
wants to help.
which
So
I thought was funny. Like
yeah,
he uses the manga and stuff like that
yeah,
to like motivate
to
him.
motivate him, like help him and stuff. But like that's like that really that kind of stuff does really help.
hmm
You know, like when I'm at work, honestly, like I'm always like, okay, well, I have this to look forward to and this to look forward to when I get home. I just have to like keep going. Like I don't have like, you know, just don't stress about it. Like just do your best, whatever. Like if you have like a motivator kind of thing, even if it's just like, okay, when I get home, I can do A, B, and C, which is what I really want to do, then it's, you know, it makes it go by faster, but it also like helps motivate you to like do better and do your best, because then I did like how their relationship kind of turned more into like a friendship. Like he was always also trying to understand Prince, like in terms of like, oh, okay, like we can read manga together, I guess.
Yeah, that was cute
Like
because he goes in and
he's like, tell me about yourself. Like, okay, what kind of manga do you like to read? Like, what do you recommend I read? And then like they actually like started like hanging out and like reading manga together.
I know, and then like when they start flipping the page like in sync, I was just
Yeah,
like,
at
oh
like
my
the
God,
same
that's
time.
so
Yeah,
cute.
it was really cute.
I really love that moment. It's just like, oh, but that kind of like also symbolizes them being on the same page too, with running and everything else going on.
Literally on the same
hmm
page. It was super cute. I really enjoyed that part of their like
hmm
relationship.
And I do like that Prince does mention how he thinks protagonists in like, manga, anime and stuff are
Yeah.
really cool, but he also likes the people who lead them too,
Yeah.
because they're just as important. And I'm just like, oh, like that's so cool. And that's when they mention
He
he
like he
Haikyuu.
mentions like all these sports protagonists. Dude, I was like so hype when he mentions that. Cuz he mentions Hinata like by name and you see like the little silhouette of like all these like
hmm
protagonists from other like sports series.
Which I was really cool, and I was just like, oh my gosh, like I was going nuts at that moment. I was like, wait.
There's the other connection to Haikyuu, y'all. And
hmm
then I was so happy he mentioned because he says Sakamichi, and I was like, wait, that name sounds familiar. And then I look and I see fucking Onoda from
Yeah,
Yamushi Pedal, and I
Mushikado.
was like, oh my god, you're right, him too. Like, oh yay! And then you mentioned Ryoma from Prince of Tennis also, so I was just like, yay! So like he mentions all these like actual like well-known protagonists from like sports anime and manga and stuff, and I was just like, yes, yes.
I
It was
know,
like
like that was so nice to see.
it was such a little like nerd geeky nerdy kind of moment that I really loved.
But other than that, like that's it with Prince. Like he was the one that ran first in the Hakone Ikaden,
Yeah, and like
which he did good, man.
he did really good. I was glad he went first because then he didn't have to like stress too much about it. Because like I think the way that like Haiji broke up who was gonna run what was a really good strategy.
Yeah, because by the end of it, Prince was just like tired and exhausted. Like he was
Yeah.
shaking too, and just like, oh my gosh. Like I think at one point he did throw up too.
Yeah, he did. That
I
was
was just like,
gross.
oh, like that was tough to see, but also like he did it. At the
Yeah.
end of it, he did it.
Yeah.
He pushed through.
Well, and he got them like he still got like I like that Haiji tells him like no, you'll get us to where we need to be. So it's okay if you don't finish like
Right then and
yeah,
there.
it's okay where like wherever you finish it's fine cuz whoever's next
hmm
is going to like catch us up.
Yeah, which I thought was really nice.
Like he put everyone in the correct place that they needed to go. Even though I know that like for Prince it was probably like oh shit, I'm fucking first. What the fuck?
But overall, Prince did really good. Like he's like the
Yeah.
most inspiring one out of everybody because he
Yeah.
started from like
Shit nothing.
crap. Yeah. to
like
achieving his record, me
like
crying about it
being the worst runner out of everybody, and then like yeah, achieving like an official record, and also like getting them
to where they need
to
to
where they
be.
needed to be in the very beginning of the race. Because again, it wasn't about winning first, it was just about like getting to the next person.
Should we talk about Musa because Musa was like
Yeah, he's
hilarious.
fucking hilarious. I loved him. He was great.
So Musa is the exchange student from where did he say he was from? I
Okay,
know he
he is from Tanzania.
there we go. Which I
So
thought was really cool.
yeah, I like that we have like a foreign exchange student character in here.
And I like how they make like jokes about Musa and he's just like more prejudice.
Yeah, where he's like, just because I'm black means I'm gonna be good at sports. That's so
I
prejudiced,
know.
guys. What the fuck? Yeah, I
Because
like
I
that.
think it's the twins that are saying like dumb shit like that, and
Yeah.
then Musa's just like, bitch, no, that's not how it
Like,
works.
that's a stereotype. What the fuck? Which, yeah, because it's kind of hard with, like, foreign characters, like with non-Japanese characters. A lot of the foreign characters in shows, they're always from some made-up fucking place that doesn't exist. Because I feel like a lot of people want to avoid, like, stereotypes and prejudice and stuff. Or just, like, albeit just, like, racism. Um,
Yeah, which does get
which
talked
does get
about
kind of,
towards the
like,
end.
brought up at the end, yeah. But I feel like this show really handled it well.
Hmm.
Like, they gave us, like, a foreign exchange student character who was like he wasn't stereotypical at all. He
Mm-mm.
kind of like calls out like the prejudice stereotypical stuff, but he was also like really funny and like cool, and like he kind of like brought a little bit of like freshness to the roster of characters. Because if he was just like some foreign student, like maybe he was like from somewhere else. Because like sometimes with these foreign exchange students too, like they just make them like American or something. Like fucking Lucky Star, goddamn. Yeah, that's like an example of like, oh, the exchange student is just like some weird, you know, some weeb from America. But like here, we got someone who wasn't white too, thank God, and someone who wasn't European either. So I like that they made him from Africa, like from a continent that like they really never talk about, or is
Hmm.
never really like a thing in anime. Like I really liked that because I liked that like how like his room was like still decorated like
How it would be
how it
over
would be
there.
like yeah at home and stuff. Like I thought that was really interesting. Like he kind of like brought his own like culture and cultural stuff over, which is like really interesting.
Yeah, because even when Haiji passed out, he like left a mask there and he
Yeah,
put like a reason
yeah,
why,
he's like this mask will protect you or something like that.
which I thought was really cute.
Yeah, I was like, oh, that's adorable. That's so nice.
He's just a good boy overall. Like he's just a fun character and
Yeah,
probably like the sweetest one. Like he's like the most mellow out of everybody.
yeah. He kind of just like goes along with everything. He's real chill. I think he's one of the characters that really understands what's actually happening in terms of like this is why Haiji wants to do this. Like he really trusts Haiji like and his vision. So he just kind of like goes along with it because it's like okay, why not?
And I do like that because what makes him even more interesting is that he starts giggling to himself, like
Yeah.
about the twins. And I'm just like, because at first he's like in the tub giggling to himself with Kakeru, and Kakeru's like, "What the fuck? What's
Yeah.
happening?" And he's like, "Well, I see things that you don't see." And at that point, you're just like, "Huh?" And he's just like giggling to himself, and I'm just like, "What the fuck is this?" Like he's like a schoolgirl, like.
Yeah. Like, I have a secret, only I know. Ha ha ha.
It's so funny.
Cause then it makes the audience go like, "What the fuck is he laughing about? Like, what's so funny? Like, what is wrong?" And then it's like, "Oh, it's because I think Hana-chan likes one of the
The
twins."
twins, and it's so funny because he's like giggling about this, like he's like so into like who does Hana like, and it's just so funny. And he's the only one that knows about Hana, which is funny because towards the last episode they like push Musa to like talk to Hana. They're like, go talk to her since you're the one that clearly knows about the situation.
Yeah. Yeah, like go see if your prediction is correct. Cause he says like she looks like a schoolgirl in love.
He's like, oh
It's like
man, youth is so pretty, and I'm just
yeah.
like, oh my god.
Yeah, it's like what? I like that that's like something that he notices and it's like why would you like why?
Who would have thought? Like out of all the boys, like he's the one that's like
Yeah.
giggling to himself. He's like, I know something you guys don't. Yeah, he's like the only one that knows at the time skip who Hana likes, and he does not spill the beans. Which I'm like, Musa, god damn it.
Yeah. What the fuck, man? I was really surprised he grew some damn facial hair.
He looked really cute
Yeah, he
though.
looks really cute. Like he looks real good. I'm like, damn, dude.
He looked really good.
Yeah, he looks really good. Kind of reminded me of like Anthony Mackie, man.
And going back to the racism thing, how they
Yeah,
handle it, which
dude, I was like, I did not expect that to happen in the show, and then when it did, I was like, oh shit. But he
yeah,
wasn't
because
like he didn't. He kind of like brushed it off to the side.
Yeah,
He's
because
kind
the
of
way
like,
that this starts off, for those of you guys listening, him and Kakeru like out and about doing something, and since they're gaining attention, because it's a team full of amateurs and stuff, aiming for Hakone then.
yeah,
So they're getting attention, and there's like these group of guys like just passing by. They're like, "Oh, I bet they only have him so they can win, because he's
he's
black and he can probably run
in
fast."
because he's an exchange. Because a lot of the teams, a lot of the other teams, they'll get like exchange students
Yeah, you'll see
to
them
run
a
for
lot.
them, and they're always like the fastest ones on the team.
Hmm.
And usually they're African exchange students, so of course it kind of like perpetuates the stereotypes and stuff.
And Kakeru was like ready to go fight
Fucking punch
somebody.
those guys too. He was ready to fucking like
But it was
whoop
really
some
mature
ass.
of Musa though, like the way
Yeah.
that he handled it. He was just like, "No, don't do it. It's not worth it." And
Well, yeah, he even says like, it really doesn't. I'm not too bothered by it. Like, I don't care.
yeah, because he's
Because
like,
he's like, I know
this
the
is gonna happen anywhere.
well, and he's like, and I know the truth. So
Yeah.
we know the truth. You and I know the truth of like why we're doing this.
Yeah, he basically pretty much said people can talk all they want, but at the end of the day, it's just us. We have our reasons for doing this and stuff.
Yeah.
Very well done of Musa. And I do like that during the race, not his race, but I think it was after his. I'm not really too sure when this happens because they run into Sakaki again. Oh, I think it's after what happens with Shindo when
Yeah.
they talk about this. Because Sakaki's like, oh man, you guys are just doing this for fun. Must be nice, blah, blah, blah. And Musa kind of steps in because he talks every now and then, but when he talks, I feel like it speaks like volumes and stuff. So he steps in. He's just like, I don't know about you, but like our teammate was like out there busting his ass, sick,
Yeah.
literally dying.
Yeah. Like he could have fucking died.
He's like, I don't know. That didn't look like it was all fun and games to me. He's like, how can you like look at that and say that we're having fun? We're not doing this for fun, obviously.
Yeah.
Like that's not just it. I was just like, damn, Musa, get him. Which is very true. Like the
Yeah.
shit that Sakaki would say at that point, I was just like, dude, seriously? Like now?
Well, it's like,
After
dude,
what?
it's like, dude, you don't even know what's happening with like it's none of your business. Like for whatever it looks like to you on the outside, like you don't know if that's actually what's happening.
So I'm glad Musa was able to say something and be like, hey, dude, no.
Well,
Like,
I'm glad they like proved that bitch wrong because he was annoying every time he was on screen. I wanted him to
yeah,
fucking leave.
that's about it with Musa. He was a good boy
Yeah.
overall.
Well, since you mentioned Shindo, we should probably just talk about him next. I liked him a lot. He was
Oh
probably
man,
one of my other
Shindo.
favorites. He did so. Oh, he was like he's a little cutie too. I like him a lot.
I do like that Kakeru does mention that the team would not be where it is without him, and I'm just like, yes, you're right. Because like at the beginning, like he's like the one that kind of starts it all
He's the
to
one
get
who
everyone on
really,
board.
yeah, he's like the one who like agrees at like first and foremost
Hmm.
out of everybody.
And he's the one that's constantly taking notes and like wanting to know more and learn about this thing.
Yeah, like he's taking it really seriously.
And then he like makes the website and stuff and try to get like sponsors and stuff too. It's just like, oh, that's so sweet.
I know. Like he truly starts to care about it.
And he had a girlfriend
Yeah,
at the beginning, but she breaks up, and I
a
was so pissed
girlfriend.
about that.
He had a girlfriend and she broke up with him. I was so pissed too. I was like, what the fuck? Because the girlfriend is like, she tells him like, well, it just seems like you have other things that seem more important to you. Like you pay attention to that stuff more. So I think we should just break up. I was like, bitch, you don't know how fucking hard they're fucking working and how much effort he's putting into this shit.
I
Like
know, it was so sad.
he's still making time for you, bitch.
I felt so bad. I wanted to fight the bitch, honestly. Like, if you don't want Shindo, I'll gladly take him. Because
I know,
even Yuki
same.
says, he's like, if I had a daughter, I would gladly give her to you. It's just like, yeah.
Yeah, Shindo is probably like one of my top three boys.
He's such a good boy.
He's so good and he's so cute. And I was really concerned about him when like because I didn't know it was him that got sick for the race when they're
Dude, I
showing it.
know.
I thought it was Haiji. I was like, what the fuck? Because
Me too.
I thought it was Haiji, but it wasn't. It was Shindo, and he still fucking runs the goddamn race.
I was
Practically
worried.
dying. I know, me too. I thought it was gonna end right then and there. Like I thought he wasn't gonna make it. I thought once he stopped running, that was it. Like they were gonna take him out. Like
Yeah, oh
I
my
thought maybe
gosh.
stopping was like like they're not gonna let you continue if you stop.
Like, it was so hard to watch his
I
race.
know. I was like, oh
Especially
no.
because he was the one that was so excited about this and he
Yeah.
put so much effort and time and then to see him get sick because at first like you said you think it's Haiju because you see like the sweater that he always wears and then
Yeah.
like at that instant I was like holy shit it's
Yeah, I know.
Haiju.
I was like, oh fuck, something's wrong with Haiji. But then they show that it's Shindo and he's wearing like the mask and everything to like, not get anybody else sick
Dude,
and shit. And I was like, oh no. I was like,
when they first revealed
uh...
that and I had to wait a whole week, I remember I was stomping my feet and I was screaming at my TV. I was just like, no, 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 like this isn't happening, this isn't happening. Like I felt so bad because like I was saying, he worked so hard and he was so excited to be a part of this and then he told his family about it and his family
yeah.
was so proud and they were watching
And they
him
were
and they were
like,
all
yeah,
excited.
watching on his like little sister is like all excited and they're watching on their like big TV and their whole family is there in the room watching and they have this big sign in front of their house and shit and it's just like oh my god and then like when you see that he's like struggling a lot and he's like practically dying while he's running like they always cut back to like the family in the house and I was like oh my
Oh
god
my
like
god,
they're
that
all
was so
like
hard to
his
watch.
mom is like crying and she's like oh my god and like everybody's really upset and the sister's upset. I was like, oh my god.
The sister is
I
like,
was like,
don't stop,
I
like,
was like,
because
they're
you
watching
hear
him
her.
fucking die on TV.
Because they were gonna stop him, and that's when the sister like yells out like, "Don't!" And then Shindo's just like, "No, I need to go." He's like, "There's somebody waiting for me at the end." And I was just
Oh
like, Shindo.
my god. Oh, like, I loved him. He was great. So you know what? He can break up with his girl. His girlfriend can break up with him. I'll gladly take him. He's
Mhm.
fucking adorable. Super cute.
I know. He made me cry, like seeing him struggle and like him
Yeah.
wanting to do this, like to see it at the end. I was just like,
Yeah, it was really hard to watch his part of the race. I was like, oh no.
which I guess we should have saw this coming because they kept saying this all the time throughout the whole entire season, where they were like, if one of you's out, that's it. It's over for you guys. And
Yeah.
sure enough, it happens.
It almost happened, but like I like that the like his motivation was like no, because there's somebody there waiting for me. I have to pass the sash on to the next person. Like
Dude, I gotta
we've
like
come this far. I can't stop now.
I have to like commend his voice actor, which is Koki Uchiyama. Hopefully I said his name right. I always say it wrong, but he is Tsukishima's voice actor, if nobody knew.
Oh,
Oh man, he did like outstanding, especially in that episode, just hearing him like breathing and you can like feel it that he's sick. And then like the animation for this was just like
yeah,
great because you can tell like you just see it all, like how he's struggling and
yeah. Like
everything.
you
It's
could see
like
like the pained look on his face. And like how out of it he was, because they would even show like from his perspective, like his vision's getting like really blurry, and it's like
everything seems
yeah,
like
everything's kind of like jumbling together and he's kind of like stumbling a little bit.
it was so hard to
Really
watch.
hard
And
to
then the
watch.
the fucking twin too was like crying and hating himself. He's like, "Man, he's like I fucked it up because you know how he lost focus." He's like, "If I
Yeah.
ran faster, if I would have been focused, like he could have taken it more easier, but because of me." I'm like, "Yeah."
That's why what the fuck? Why'd you get so distracted? But yeah, he made it. He did a good job. I was very
He
proud of
made
him.
it.
And I was happy he did not die.
That whole episode just like was a nerve.
That really stressed me out. I was like, "Oh my god."
I've never been so like all sports anime like definitely stresses you out at some point just seeing like the match because you don't know how it's gonna go. But
Yeah.
this was on a whole different
Yeah,
level.
this race was like, oh fuck. Or this leg of the race, rather. His leg of the race was really hard. He's sick. He could collapse. Like, I was afraid he was just gonna collapse at any moment.
I
Or, like, right
know.
before he was gonna give the sash away, like, he would have fallen, and then they would have, like, been like, okay, no, he's not fit enough to participate. And I was just like, oh no. So
I know.
I was happy that he made it.
The next day he's resting well and he's fine. And I do like that everyone was so worried about him that they
Yeah.
like have to like I like that they all FaceTimed each other
Yeah.
and then
That
like you
was
see
really cute.
Shindo like being like, "Hey, I'm
He's
okay."
like, hey guys,
It
I'm
was so cute.
alive. I'm alive, guys.
That was a really sweet moment.
Yeah, that was really cute.
Because they were so worried, like, how can you not be worried? Like, everyone was moved to tears too, and they were like super impressed with Shindo because they were like, wow, like he was sick and literally about to die, but he still finished it. So how can you not be inspired or motivated by that? He's a good boy.
Yeah.
Me
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed that. Well,
too.
I didn't enjoy the stress, but I quite enjoyed,
The character.
watching the character and him succeed, and like seeing him get super into it and making the website and everything. That was really cute.
Who else do we talk about now? We got Nico-chan, Yuki,
We can
and
talk about the
King
two of
left.
them together.
Nico-chan and Yuki?
Yeah, because like they live across from each other,
Yeah.
and
Which
Yuki's always like, "God damn it, dude, stop fucking smoking! I can smell that shit from here."
they're so fun. Like I really like their little relationship or whatever. Which I thought was because I kind of want to like talk about Nico first before we talk about Yuki, but
Yeah.
because he's like super interesting. Which I
Mhm.
don't know why it took me so long. Because like when I was watching it seasonally, it took me so long to figure out why he was given the name Nico until like when he's running, they're like nicotine, and I'm like, oh, like that makes sense
Yeah.
now why he's called Nico.
Yeah, Nico-chan senpai. Yeah, like they said it at the beginning, like when they're introducing everybody, like, yeah, we
hmm
call him that because, he smokes all the time and nicotine, blah blah blah. I thought that was kind of funny.
That was
Cause it's
funny.
pretty cute, a cute nickname. I liked him a lot. He's an interesting character.
I also like that. I mean, this is like a little background thing because I guess they have like a calendar with their cleaning duties, and instead of having Nico's written down, they like draw a cigarette on there,
Yeah.
which I thought was hilarious.
He could be Asahi's brother.
He really
In
could.
terms of looks, like if Asahi kind of let himself like get all rugged and like started smoking, he would basically be Nico-chan senpai.
He would.
But yeah, but I liked him. I enjoyed him. And damn, he like glowed up at the end. Like shit. If I had a pick of an older man out of all of these older boys and all these anime, I'd pick Nico-chan senpai because he was pretty damn attractive at the end.
hmm
What amazing! What a haircut can do.
I know.
And he stopped smoking, so it's like that's even more impressive. Makes him more
Yeah,
attractive.
because I know that's not easy to do, so I'm
Yeah.
impressed. But he mainly does it because, like, I mean, at first with Yuki, he tells him, oh, I'm just doing it because of my health. But I'm like, liar. You're doing this because you love running. And he does, which we do get to his past when he's running. The
In
reason
high school.
why he let himself go and why he wasn't running is because his high school coach told him that he wasn't suited for it.
Yeah, he's like, you're not. Yeah, you're not. You shouldn't be running. You should be doing something else.
Which I'm like, ugh, which by the way, Nico in high school was beautiful,
Oh
man.
yeah, no, yeah, he was fine as fuck.
He was good, man.
which is why,
I was
which
like,
is
God
why
damn.
I'm glad he glowed up at the end. I'm like, yeah, man, 10 out of 10.
hmm
10 out of 10. Yeah, he was like, because it's one of those things where it's like, why would you, like, you don't tell somebody that, like, I mean, maybe you would, sometimes it's true, someone is probably not better, is probably better suited for something else, but, like, you
hmm
don't tell them to their face.
Especially if you love it, like, why would you?
Well, yeah, like, if they really love it, like, why not? Who cares if they're not, like, the best at it? They have fun doing it, so, like, whatever.
And he's like the one that's like the bigger one out of like everybody. He's like obviously a little bit more chunkier in some spots.
Yeah, because he's older than everybody. He's been there for
hmm
like ever, which
And it's just
can relate. I was in college for a long ass time.
because even he says he's like, well, this is just how my body is. Like everyone's body's different, which I really appreciated.
Me too.
I was like, damn, that's some
It's
good shit
okay.
right there.
It's okay. It's okay to be a little chunkier than everybody else.
hmm
From experience.
He always puts himself down because he tells Kakeru, he's like, man, he's like, you look at me and you're not gonna be like, oh, you're gonna be good at running. I'm just like, Nico, don't do that. You're a good
Yeah.
boy. Don't put yourself down. Because he like gets so to the point he starts obsessing over his weight, and you see that like.
And that's why he stops eating.
Which at that point I was like, oh no, like this is gonna backfire on you. And even he starts getting like dark circles too. And I'm just
Yeah.
like, oh no. Which is also why Haiji starts to chase after him because he's like, well, you gotta eat. Your diet's important too.
Well, yeah, and of course, like, not sleeping very well and not eating, like, really affects you, like, your immune system and the way you look and feel. So it's like, well, and of course, he's, like, trying to quit smoking at the same time. So it's just, like, all of these different, like, factors kind of, like, building up.
I think from what I could
I feel like he's just
tell,
kind of
he was just kind of like
he's just, yeah,
lazy.
he's just, like, taking his time, like, in terms of, like, he's probably not, like, because that's the thing that I liked about college is, like, you can take your time
He was like
with
super
like
laid back.
yeah, like it's like you finish when you finish. It's with college, it's not a race.
hmm
Like that's what my dad would tell me. Like it's not a race. Not everybody has to finish within 4 years. If you don't, that's fine, and if you do, that's great. But yeah, it's not a race. College isn't a race. It's how you You do it on your own time. So I feel like he's one of those people that like he's kind of lazy because I was really lazy too at the beginning,
Mhm.
but like eventually he's like he's gonna it's like he's gonna graduate. It's just I
Yeah.
feel like some people need a little more time than others.
I think it was after the training camp is when he starts to see results and you see him like do like a little fist bump. It's so cute. He's just like, yes. Because
Yeah.
he's starting to see like a change in his weight too. And I was like, oh, that's so cute. Like his efforts are finally like showing because like he felt like in the like nothing was happening, progress so isn't there. But once he finally got into the right mindset and everything and did things like the right way, he was good, man. He was good. And I do like because Yuki does ask him like, why are you running? You're like, are you gonna tell me like this cliche thing like, oh, you'll find out once you do it for yourself? Because most sports anime, like, yeah, that's kind of cliche.
Hmm.
They do say that. We're like, you'll find out once you do it yourself. But him, he was just like, nah, I'm not gonna say that. It just depends on every person. It's different for everybody, which I thought was really interesting. And I was just like, yeah, man, that's actually a pretty good answer. And his reason at first, he says, is because he feels like he can leave everything behind when he runs
Yeah.
and he feels clean. And I was just like, man, I get it. I get that. I get that.
Yeah, because stuff like that like really kind of like cleanses your body, and like I feel like a lot of people really feel like running or walking or jogging in the mornings and stuff really like helps them kind of.
Melts your problems away.
Yeah, and it kind of like helps them, kind of like wake up in the morning, and or if they
Hmm.
do it at night or something, like it kind of like makes all the stress of like the day or like go away. I mean,
Yeah, for
good for
sure.
those people. I don't do that shit, but.
Yeah, because like when I used to swim in high school, like I was like, yep, that's how I felt. Nico-chan just explained it perfectly, man. You can leave all your stress and worries behind once you do something that you love.
Yeah, that's how I felt with doing theater. I leave my school day problems at the door when I walk into rehearsal and then, actually have fun
Hmm.
doing something and not have to worry about like school or anything. Just worry about, well, not worry, but like focus on like having fun and like, doing a good job.
Which I was really glad that, Nico was able to put like his all. And I do
Yeah.
like that Haiji was like, just run however you want and enjoy it to the fullest. And he does. And by the end of his race, he does start coughing up blood. And I was just like, oh no, like what's going on? Like I
Yeah.
was a little bit concerned there. But he was able to enjoy himself, and that's all he really cared about because
Yeah.
he loves this.
And then he managed to glow up at the end, so it's fine.
Hmm. He finally graduated too.
Yes, exactly.
He's in a good spot overall, which is kind of inspiring, man. Especially
Yeah.
because, like I said, he has like this issue with like his weight and then his smoking and
Yeah,
then
and
like
he's
all
like
these factors.
and he's older than everybody else, so it's also like, oh, okay, that's more
Hmm.
inspiring because like I totally related to that because like in some of my classes, like my last few semesters, like I was one of the oldest people there
Yeah.
because everyone else is, like I was like 25 and everybody else is like 21, 20, or there's like some 18 and 19-year olds too, and it's like, oh man, what the fuck, man, what am I doing with my life? But it was really inspiring to see like, yep, even us older folks can do it. I mean, we're not that old, but
If Nico-chan Senpai can do it, we can do it
yeah.
too. Since we're done talking about him, let's talk about Yuki.
Yay.
Because they go in part two. These two are always
It's,
together a lot.
yeah, they're fighting a lot. Well, it's more
Hmm.
like arguing because Yuki doesn't like that Nico smokes.
Yeah, but they do care about each other.
But yeah,
Because even Yuki was the one that was also noticing, like, hey, he's acting weird. He's pushing himself, and it's thanks to Kakeru. But Yuki is definitely like the most level-headed out of like the
yeah.
whole bunch for sure. I mean,
Yeah,
he's a law student, so
yeah. He's like, yeah, he passed the bar on his first fucking test. Like, damn, dude. Um, he's
that's
pretty
impressive.
impressive. I liked his aesthetic.
He looked cute. I
Like
was
he's pretty
very
cute.
drawn to him.
Like yeah, like if honestly, like if I saw like a dude like that in real life, I'd probably be pretty attracted to him.
Me too, man.
Cause he got the like the cool hair, he got the earring, he's got like cool glasses. Although he's hanging out at clubs, and I'm not about that life, so.
I know, which is so funny how Haiji just pops in. He's like, "Ah, tell me more." Like it's,
Hey, maybe I
I
should
just
tag along with you at these clubs. Yeah, I liked Yuki's level-headedness, especially when he like tells everybody like, if you guys expect for us to like win-win, yeah, that's not happening.
just even he knows like impossible with all these amateurs. He's like, I don't do this kind of stuff. Like, what are you expecting out of us?
But I think like after Musa, he's the one that understands the most like what Haiji is trying to do and what he's trying to say.
Mm-hmm.
Not that
Because
he
at the end
like
of it, he's just like, all right, I'll do it.
yeah, not that he like wants to continue or anything, but he's just like, all right.
Yeah, because I still remember when he beat up the twins. That was fucking hilarious because they were all like, he was like the main one that gathered everyone. He was just like, all right, we're not doing this, right? It's clear, right? We gotta push through. We can't let him win us over. And the fucking twins come back and they're like, well, Haiji said that we're all doing it. And he's just like beating the shit out of them
Yeah, cuz he's
with
like
like this thing.
he's the most resistant at the beginning because he's like, God, I don't want to do this shit, man. Like, what the fuck? I don't have time. Like, how's this gonna benefit me? Because he's a lawyer, you know. Lawyers are always kind of thinking like, you know, well, how am I gonna benefit? Like, where's the evidence that I can, you know, win with
Hmm.
whatever you're getting me? So I feel like, yeah, he's thinking about it from like a logical lawyer standpoint, obviously, but also like
Yeah.
he does get a lot out of it because he does do well. Like he eventually,
Yeah.
like, you know, gets an official time and like, you know, he does come to the practices begrudgingly and eventually, you know, he does
Mm.
kind of
He's also
enjoy.
like the
And
middleman too.
yeah, and then like I liked seeing him deal with like his family problems because that was like something he and Kakeru had like in common was
Yeah.
like I don't talk to my parents, I don't talk to my family because his mom like remarried some guy, he doesn't know this guy very well, and then like his mom and like his stepdad like had a baby together, so he has like a little sister that he doesn't really know very well.
You can tell like once that's revealed, it's like a shock to him. He's just like, why? Which is so relatable because that's kind of how I felt with my stepdad going in. Like, not that I hate him or anything. My stepdad's cool and everything, but me and my stepdad aren't that close. Like, I'll be honest. It's just
Yeah.
kind of it's just kind of weird, especially when you know that you have like your dad. So I'm
Yeah.
I'm gonna assume that he probably felt that way, which is totally
Yeah.
understandable.
Well, because I feel like, because they show in the flashback, like his mom just comes home one day and is like, hey, we're gonna get married. And she's like already
Also,
like pregnant or whatever.
yeah,
And he's just kind of like, the fuck? Because he was also like, what, like already like in like high school at that point?
like high school or
So,
middle school
yeah,
because he
so
looked
like,
he looked teeny tiny.
yeah, I feel like for somebody around that age when that happens to them, like it really affects them in a different way. Like if he was a little kid, obviously it would be different. Like he probably
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't have like minded too much, but he was at that age of, you know, where it's like
You know what's going on.
yeah, and it's like you can kind of like make your own decisions and like on how you feel about things. And it's just kind of like I totally understood, but I like oh my god, like I kind of teared up when he's running his leg of the race and
And they show
and
up.
they show like his mom shows up, the stepdad is there and his little sister like calls out to him.
I
And I
know.
was
And
just like,
then he
"Oh
starts
my god."
tearing up
Yeah. I was like, "Oh my god."
because I don't
Like
think he was expecting anything out of them either.
yeah,
And
because he doesn't really, you know, because his mom calls him like in one episode, and he's kind of like brushing her off, like, "Why are you calling me? Like, you know, I'm fine. You don't have to worry about me. Like, don't, you know, don't call me. Like, I don't want to
hmm
talk to you." But like,
like
it's
he
like,
clearly wants nothing, but at the same time he
yeah,
cares, and you can tell that meant a lot to him.
yeah, and then like you could tell that like his mom still really care. Obviously, his mom cares about him. Like, he's her child and stuff. I liked that it wasn't a relationship of like his mom resents him or something for some dumb bullshit. Like, no, she still
Hmm.
really cares about him to the point where she's like calling him and checking up on him, and he kind of, you know, like just answers the phone because it's like, all right, well, it's my mom calling me, whatever. I'll get, you know,
Yeah.
I'll just tell her to stop calling me and get rid of her. But like it really like oh, it really like touched me when like they cared enough to like go see him because even the stepdad doesn't really have like any resentment towards him. Like
Hmm.
they're all really like cheering him on, and I was just like, oh, that was so adorable.
It
Like
was.
I felt like, oh yeah, dude, I was like crying. I was like, oh my god, it was so cute.
And our boy Yuki is running down the slope, which, oh my gosh. And it's snowing when this is happening.
Yeah, that was also kind of scary too. I was like, oh fuck, he better not fall.
I know, and I do like that he gets a taste of Kakeru's world and what it's like to be like first, because they do tell him that he was like 2 seconds away from being first, and I was just like, holy shit, like goddamn.
Yeah.
I was pretty impressed, and I do like that he was just like, man, this world that Kakeru's in, I don't like it. He's like, it's pretty, but it's really, really lonely, and you can tell like he's kind of concerned for Kakeru. He's just like, man, don't go.
Yeah, because I think because they can relate to each other on that like level of like they don't talk to their family and stuff. But I feel like he's also trying to like tell him like don't make the same mistake. Kind of like with Haiji, like don't make the same mistakes I made, like and regret it later.
Dude, and then at the end of his race, I don't know if you saw it, but I remember seeing it the first time and I was just like, wait a minute, because I had to pause it to like double check I was seeing things right. His feet were bleeding.
Yeah, I think I did. I think I did notice that because they show it. They show that, and I was like, "What the fuck?" I was like, "Is
Yeah, they
he
show his
bleeding
feet,
like through his shoes?" Like, damn, dude.
which it makes sense because you're like running down the slope and you're like hitting the ground like so quick.
Yeah,
And at the pace that he was going, because he was 2 seconds from being first. So,
yeah. Because they were even saying like he's going too fast.
I mean, it makes sense that he would be bleeding the heck out of his feet.
Yeah.
But that was just like, oh, like the fact that he didn't even notice it either until then. He's just like, well, shit.
Well, it was snowing and it was cold, so he's probably numb from the pain.
Probably. Like he was really into it during his race.
Yeah, but he a cute boy. I love his aesthetic. His attitude can kind of change a little bit for my taste, but
Mm-hmm.
10 out of 10.
Would
Pretty
bang.
would bang. Pretty attractive, yeah.
I mean, wouldn't be our podcast if we didn't
Yeah, I know.
say we wanted to.
If we didn't deviate and say we want to bang all half of them or whatever. And luckily they're all of age in this show, so it's
I know
not
that's what
weird.
makes it even better.
It's okay. Just for the record, guys, if we do say that about like any of like these other characters from like other shows, if they were adult age, okay, 10 out of 10 would bang.
Because we know how the internet can be now.
Yes,
So
yes. Just want to clarify if they were 18 and above. Yes.
10 out of 10
Yeah.
would bang. Think we have one more character to talk about,
Dun, dun,
which
dun.
is
Which is
King.
King. I like the twins. He's not one of my favorites because
He
his story is
didn't
like
have too
annoying.
much to going on.
Yeah, his story is just kind of like, I'm just like, I don't really care.
Like it's relatable at the end, but at the same time you're just like, okay. Like you're alright.
Cause yeah, he's the character that's mostly concerned about like getting a job.
At first, he's like the one that's like so butthurt at everyone having a good time goofing off and like doing this while he's over here looking for a job. And he's like, "Are you gonna get me a job?" Because he tells that to Haiji, which I'm like, dude, just like chill for a little bit. Because I mean, I get it. He's frustrated that he can't find a job right away and everything's like not going his way.
Yeah, like that's pretty relatable. Finding a job is hard. Getting like the interview is hard, and like sticking with the job is hard too. But it's like once you get one, it's all good. Like I don't think
Yeah.
like I get it, it's your first job. You can stress out about it, obviously. But I don't know. They could have given him a more interesting story because like whenever it was like focused on him, I was just like, I kind of want to look at like the other characters right now. I don't really care. I don't even remember his part of the race, tbh.
His part of the race was mostly like him talking about how he feels like he puts up this persona and it's not really him. And he's like, well, it's too late to change now. So here I am. Because he was like afraid to like have people accept the real him. So he like pushes
yeah.
people away and he's like, well, but I also want people to be considerate of me.
Oh
And it's just
yeah,
like, dude.
yeah. When they showed like his flashback of like when he first came to the dorm and stuff.
Because even he has like this wild imagination at first where he's just like imagining that him and Haiji are gonna stay back and do the race again. It's just like, oh my god, what is what with this wild imagination? Because even after he finally settles in and does the whole practicing at the beginning, because after the training camp they all get tanned except for like Yuki and Prince.
Yeah.
They're the only white ones.
Yeah, they're like really pale still, really fair.
Everyone else is
yeah,
tanned.
everybody else gets pretty tan. He's like the most tan out of everybody.
I know, because like he goes into the interview and he's like so tan, and they're like, "Why are you
Like,
tan?" And he's
why are
like,
you so
"Oh, I'm
dark?"
running for the Hakone Ikeda, and I hope I can make it." And that I think is able to, because they do tell him that this is gonna help him too, probably to get a job.
Because putting that on a resume is like pretty impressive because it shows like your future job prospects. Like, hey, I was dedicated enough to run in this really important race, and I worked really hard, so I can apply that hard work to my like working at your job or whatever.
Yeah, it was kind of cute though that he was like excited to talk about it, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm doing this." Like,
Yeah.
I was like,
yeah, that was nice. It's just like, I don't know, everything else before that, I was just like, whatever, it's kind of boring.
I do like that he does say though that Hakone Ikeden isn't like just Haiji's dream anymore, but it's like everybody's. And I was just like, yeah, well said, my dude. Oh, and I think that's all the characters that we have.
Yeah, because everyone else, I mean, that annoying ass bitch from the other team, fuck that guy.
He was just he got on my last nerves because it's like, why are you like trying to pick a fight
Well, it's
every?
like, why do you care so much? You're not even on the same team anymore. Like, why do you care that Kakeru's running? Because like their team, like, there was a chance that they wouldn't have made it anyway. So like, just trying to discourage them. Like, who cares? Like, if they don't make it, so what? I don't know, but he was like way too obsessed with him.
I don't know what his goal was. Like he was really trying to make Kakeru miserable, but it's like,
Cause it's like at that point in time, it's like, dude, you're not even in the same school anymore. Like, who cares? You got
mm-hmm.
nothing to do with this dude anymore. So yeah, didn't care about him at all.
Me neither. He's just there to like provoke Kakeru, but once he saw that Kakeru was like he didn't care, he was like on a whole different level.
Yeah.
Like he was kind of shook by it because at the end, because Kakeru was just like, yeah, whatever.
Fujioka was pretty interesting. I'm kind of mad they kind of introduced him like later on in the show because I'm like, oh, we don't really get to like know this character that well.
I know. I wanted to know more about him.
But I was
He
glad
seemed
he
like an
wasn't.
interesting.
Yeah, I was just glad he wasn't a stereotypical like rival to like Haiji or anybody where he's like, well, I'm gonna beat you, so fuck you. Like, no, he was like more concerned about like seeing Haiji do what he loves because they went to
Hmm.
school together.
He
Went
was
to summer
really
school.
worried for his friend, which I thought was really
Yeah.
cute because he saw him go through all this and like go through all his misery.
And then like seeing him tell Kakadu like, okay, well, bring it. If you want to break the record, then bring it. I'm gonna break it first. And then Kakadu says, well, okay, well, after you break the record, I'm gonna break your record. And then he like
Yeah, it
did
was
it.
like a nice little healthy rivalry for
Yeah.
sure.
Well, also, can we say one of the best doggos in anime history?
Nita! Oh my gosh.
He reminded me of my dog so much, like how goofy his face could be, and like
Hmm.
making those puppy noises and shit. Like every time the like mid roll card would come and he would
It's
like
so cute.
make a noise, I would like instantly think of my own dog, and I'm like, oh my god, this dog is so fucking cute.
I like that this dog got like puppies too. I was just like, what the
I
heck?
know
Like at
that
the
was
time
so
skip, it
cute
was
at the
cute.
end. That was so cute. I had to like rewatch the time skip part at the end because I had to look at everybody again. I was like, oh my god.
I know.
And I was like, oh,
It's a
they
lot.
gave him puppies. It was so cute. Literally a good boy.
Mm-hmm.
He's a good
A
boy
very
too.
good boy. And I think that's about it with
Yeah,
Run with the Wind, man.
I think that's pretty much it. I mean, well, there are so many times that they're all naked in this show. I wanted to bring that up because, like, the first time it happened, I was like, okay, all right, we got a bunch of naked boys, cool. And then it kept happening, and I was like, they really want to like make them naked in this show a lot. Not that I was complaining, but I was just like, oh my god, they're so naked.
I know, and then it's just interesting to see like their bodies too, like how different they all are, like their
Yeah.
shapes and stuff. Because they're not like packed on with muscle or anything. Like
No.
they're just regular dudes,
Yeah,
man.
and like most people who do run like track and cross country really aren't that muscular or anything. Maybe their legs
Hmm.
are, but the rest of their bodies really aren't.
Because I think we're so used to seeing like our anime boys being like so buff and like.
Or like really like skinny, lanky, like they have nothing
Hmm.
going on. They're like one extreme or the other. It's never like in between.
But here it's like a mixture of everything,
Yeah. Not that I'm
which is
saying I
nice.
don't want to see like muscular buff guys or anything, because
Who doesn't want to see that?
yeah, who doesn't want to see that? Like, if they a cute anime boy and they got muscles, like that's a bonus.
Well, I guess let's dive into questions now since
Yes.
we're done.
From Meowth 900, they said, "Best boy, mine are the twins. Good boys." Well, I guess we can assume your favorite boy is Haiji. Obviously,
Yes.
he's your best boy.
He is my best
I
boy.
don't know. This is really hard to choose because I like multiple boys. I don't know if I can pick like a super best boy. I
Mm.
think for me
Mm.
it's a tie between like Shindo and Yuki, just because like those were the two I like was really interested in. So I like them. I like Haiji too. I don't know. Can I have a top three? Those are my top three. I can't choose a best one right now. I might have to rewatch the show again to like really like cement a choice. But I like those three boys.
Yeah, for
They're all
me,
good
it's like
boys.
Haiji, obviously, because like he's such a good boy.
Yeah.
I feel like he would take care of me, man, and like he wouldn't put up with my lazy ass shit. So I need that kind of balance in my
Yeah.
life, man.
I mean, I guess if I had to pick one, I guess I'd pick Shindo because he's a nice guy. He doesn't have a girlfriend anymore, so I'm single. I'm available. I think we would have fun. I wouldn't, get mad like his ex girlfriend. Like that's something you like to do. That's good for you, man. Also, I'll take care of him when he's sick. I don't want him to get sick again and
I
practically
know.
die. So if I had to marry somebody, I would agree with Yuki. I would marry Shindo, but I'd probably date Yuki though.
Yuki is definitely like a second top
Yeah,
favorite
he's
for
like
sure.
yeah, he's for sure my second favorite. I guess. If I had to pick, secondly, I would pick him because aesthetic wise, he fine as fuck.
And then for my third boy, it's like a tie between Nico and Shindo because Nico, I feel like he's good, a good boy, but I feel like having two lazy people together would not be a good
Yeah,
combination.
I like
So
I like Nico too. I like him a lot, and I like Prince too. But like, see, this is why it's really hard for me to pick a favorite out of all these boys because
they all have good
they all
qualities,
have really
man.
good qualities. Like, it's not where like with other series where I'm like, okay, no, that is my favorite. Like, I can't choose. It's really hard for me to choose. Okay, and then the second question from Yahiko is who has the best hair?
I say Yuki.
Yeah, he's got the best hair. Like, in terms of like hairstyle and like the way it's cut,
Mm-hmm.
he has
It's
the most
Yuki.
like aesthetically pleasing looking hair.
The hair I want to touch too, and that looks like it's taken care of really nicely would be Prince.
Yeah, I think he's like, yeah, number two for me too, hair wise. Cause I do really like that kind of haircut on guys,
Mm-hmm.
where it's kind of like a longer kind of haircut, like a shaggy kind of look. Like their hair's like a little scraggly.
Yeah, because I like how in the first episode when we meet him, he like flips his hair and it's like sparkles.
Yeah, it's like ooh, yeah. But I like, cause yeah, I do want to touch his hair, and I want to touch Yuki's hair too. Okay, so we have three more questions from Savage Luffy. Thank you for asking these last three questions. So the first one is between the twins, which one of them was your favorite? LOL. Um,
That's kind of hard because they're so similar.
yeah, they're really similar. That like they don't really have like distinct personalities from each other.
I think you can somewhat notice it when they do their solo runs at the end,
Yeah,
but even then it's just kind of like,
I
which one are you
guess
again?
I guess the one with the necklace. I like him better.
Yeah, I think I do too. He feels like more chilled out and like I
Yeah,
like that he's like more closer to Kakadu and stuff. Like he had more of like a deeper bond with him, but that's because he wanted to strive to be like Kakadu and like, he got inspired.
his part of the race like was more interesting because he's the second one, right? To
Yeah, he's
go.
the
Yeah,
second one.
I was gonna say like, yo, dude, he had like he got that news and then had to keep going. It's like, like what do you do?
Yeah, I mean, who wouldn't really like when you really think about it, who wouldn't get distracted if like someone you like likes your sibling, like what
Yeah, especially like your twin, where a lot of people would probably just think, oh, you're like the same person. When twins are individuals as well.
hmm
So it's kind of like, well, if she likes my brother, why wouldn't she like me if we look the same? But then it's also like, yeah, like I said, like, but you're an individual, so like you're both different. You just look
hmm
similar. So yeah, I guess he's my favorite. I don't really, like I said, they're not really my favorite characters. So it's
hmm
kind of hard to pick which one I like better.
But I mean, in the first half, like we said, they were
Yeah, they were
hilarious.
super funny. They were good comic relief. And then when they got like all questiony and serious and stuff, then I'm like, all right, whatever.
Yeah. Dude, like I don't know why I just randomly started thinking when they were in Nico-chan's room and they started making like these really lewd sounds and you're like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah,
And they were just stretching, but they made like, oh my Jesus,
yeah,
that scene
weird.
alone was just like,
Some weird.
okay.
Okay, so the second question is what were your thoughts towards the plot? Did you think the pacing was too slow, fast, or decent? I think the
I think,
plot's pretty good.
yeah, it was decent. I mean, I would have liked to have known, like we were saying earlier in the podcast, with Haiji's injury, like I wish they would have like talked about that more instead of
Yeah.
just being like, here you go, mystery, mystery. But, you know, overall, it was good.
Yeah, I think the plot was really good, but yeah, those certain parts, yeah, that we talked about earlier with like his injury mostly, I think they could have expanded upon that. Like I wanted to know exactly like what happened. And I wanted to honestly know what happened after Kakeru punched the coach. Like what was it like for him, like for Kakeru after that? Like did he just legit just like quit running? Like did he just stop going to practices? Like did they even have practices after that? Like, what did he do in the summer when school was over? Well, I just want to know what like he was doing like as an individual. Like, did he still run like between graduating high school and going to college, or like
I'm pretty
what
sure.
did he do? Like so they could have done like three more episodes maybe,
Maybe like one more
or one
or
more.
so.
But I think the pacing was pretty decent. Like it told the story
hmm
well, like in a good amount of time. Yeah, so I didn't think it was like slow or too fast. I think it was the right pace. I just wanted to like a little bit more like focus on like certain things, but other than that it was really good. And then overall, what did you generally think of the series? Was it delivered well?
Well, we kind of somewhat said that it
Yeah.
was, delivered good.
So delivered well? Yes.
Yeah.
Overall, what did we generally think of the series? I really liked it a lot.
I mean, I was crying the whole way through, man. So, I mean, if you're moved to tears, that just tells you how good it is, man.
Yeah.
Like if it's some sort of emotion, it pulls out of you, then you know it's gonna be a good one.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so thanks for the last few questions. I mean, unless you have any other questions.
Out of all the boys, who did you find more relatable to you?
To me, I think it's a combination between like Prince in terms of like I hate running. Also cuz like, he's like a big otaku and he likes to read manga and shit and like that's all he wants to do and I'm like, dude, I just want to nerd out all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And Nico-chan senpai, just because like he'd been in college for quite a while, and like I was like that too. Like I kind of relate to that a lot. Yeah, probably those two the most. What about you?
I think for sure Prince. I mean, who does? I feel like at this point, anybody listening who doesn't relate to Prince,
Yeah,
especially if you're a weeb
yeah,
and you can't run. So it's like he's like the most relatable out of the whole bunch, man.
yeah. Because even he would always be like, I never agreed to like any of this. I don't know why you're
I
lumping
know.
me into this.
I think that's about it for
Yeah,
Run with the Wind.
I think so. I really enjoyed it a lot. So I'm glad you picked it.
Yay, I'm glad.
Yay. It was really fun and I hope you guys listening enjoyed it as well.
I hope so because this is such an
And
underrated anime,
yeah,
man.
it definitely is. I would highly recommend it. If you haven't watched it and you just listen to this podcast on a whim, please go watch it. It's really good. And I'm pretty sure Erica really liked it too. Speaking of Erica, once again, she's not here to name her pick, but we are going to let you guys know what our next podcast is, which is Erica's next pick, which is going to be Snow White with the red hair. So we're going to watch both seasons, I think, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so we're gonna watch both seasons. You guys can watch it on Funimation, subbed and dubbed. So that's the next pick for February. I think it's a pretty good pick because it's a romance and February is Valentine's Day month. So go ahead and add that to y'all's queue. Watch it for February, and sometime in February we'll go ahead and talk about it with Erica. She'll be back in February. Follow us on Twitter. We have our podcast Twitter, and our individual Twitters are also linked in the description. All three of us each have a personal Twitter, and Chantal and I have YouTube channels, so please go subscribe to us as well, because we make pretty great videos. I think.
Mm-hmm. I think so too. Not to toot our own horns, but
Yeah. But anyway, guys, thanks for listening, and we'll see you next month for our February episode on Snow White with the red hair. So, see you guys later. Bye.
bye.